I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Except for Steve Holt said he was going to call in sometime a little after 9. So whenever he calls, we'll just jump to him.
Great. Good.
Any additions or corrections or conflicts of interest with the agenda? If not, it stands approved as printed. Move on to the reading of the minutes.
January 13, 2026, the Board of Supervisors met at 9 a.m. with Craig Dozark, Chair, presiding. Members present: Schultz, Mulbauer, Dozark, Hayden, and Rosberg. Minutes of the previous meeting. There's a remote. Is it on that thing? Turn to your.
There you go. Right behind the machine. Hold on, I got it. Look, you just pointed and I looked. Look at me, fat.
I didn't say that.
No, I know you did. But...
What
The light?
Yeah, the green.
There it goes. We plugged it in over here because it didn't get plugged in. That's a couple weeks in a row, so we'll just leave it here.
Oh,
We plugged
okay.
it in on here. That works for you.
There we go. Thank you, Ty.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, we got everything now.
Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. On motion, the board recognized claims for Public Health Department and approved claims for all other departments. The board approved the Sheriff's Office quarterly report for October 25 through December 25. The board approved hiring of Liz Morales Garcia, Legal Assistant Secretary, Attorney's Office, and Amanda Dirks, Home Care Aide, Public Health. Wendy Mueller via Zoom from West Central Community Action presenting their year in review and a funding request of $4,000. Fiscal year 25, West Central Community Action provided $1,139,859 worth of services to Crawford County residents. Dean Shady from IMWCA gave the board an update on the workers' compensation for the year. Kurt Miller, with Hoffman Agency, had a discussion with the board on the valuation adjustment and premium update. Ted Bleesman, chair of the compensation board, presented the board with their recommendations for the elected officials fiscal year 26-27. $12,000 for the treasurer, auditor, and reporter, $7,600, and a $750 stipend for the chair. For the supervisors, $17,525 for the attorney, $28,000 for the sheriff. No action was taken at this time. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Rosberg, to approve alcohol license. With the license, right? Renewal for the New Country Pumpkin Incorporated. Motion passed unanimously. Motion was made by Mulbauer, seconded by Schultz, to approve the following resolution: 2026-7, resolution transferring funds in the amount of $26,250 from the general fund into the special revenue fund 0049. Voting aye: Schultz, Mulbauer, Dozark, Hayden, and Rosberg. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Rosberg, to approve reappointment of Gail Coes to the Zoning Commission for a 5-year term. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Hayden, to approve the proclamation for Crawford County Day, June 15, 2026, commemorating the 175th anniversary of Crawford County. Motion passed unanimously. On motion, duly second, board adjourned at 11:16 a.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Not, they'll stand approved as printed and read. Move on to supervisor reports. I guess I'll just get started and just say last week we went to the DOT public hearing or public meeting, I guess not really a hearing, on the proposed changes that they're doing on the 2 bucket of worms and the bridge over the railroad. And I will say from a public perception standpoint, I had 3 or 4 people come up to me at church on Sunday and ask what the board of supervisors was going to do. And I said, well, it's really not our decision. It's a state decision. State DOT is making that decision, not us. So maybe there's a little bit of disconnect there about who's really in charge. I will say that I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of roundabouts and how it was construed when I first saw it, when Ben brought up the maps and we looked at it. But going to the meeting and talking with DOT, now I'm in favor of the project.
And I think
I mean,
that's
it
what,
wasn't that I was really against it. It was just that I just needed more information, I guess. And I got the information and it made sense to me.
I was surprised how many people actually kind of showed up and, you know, until I got there, I was thinking we were gonna have a presentation, but
Yeah,
really it
exactly.
was just kind of a free-for-all and, you know, they had it laid out. I mean, they really had some nice visuals to look
If
at.
I didn't know it was gonna be set up that way, I'd brought grandkids, because there's a lot of toys.
There
That's why
was.
they had the one on the ground.
Yeah.
Because if kids came, they
Kids
could.
came.
Yeah,
play on
yeah, I
the-
was very tempted and they had big,
My takeaway of it was the thought they're putting into it to try to limit the closure of the system.
And they haven't come up with a whole plan yet,
But
they're still in the process.
Yep, I mean, they had it down to a month or 2 of complete closure.
But it seems like they were taking into account, even like our bridge on the Donna Reed Road project.
Yep.
Or the cities and ours.
Mhm.
And then the one out on the other side of Anderson's, we were worried about, but that's all being thought about. So I was pretty impressed with that.
And the fact that they said on those, the roundabouts, I thought those were just cookie cutter roundabouts. And when we sat and talked to him, he said, no, they're designed specifically for your area based on semi-travel, how many cars you got, how many semis you got, that it was different for when they did up by Orange City,
Yep.
when they did somewhere else, that he said they kind of customize it.
They're gonna do
And,
more for 7th Street. They're looking
Are
at.
they? Because when I brought that up,
I
the
did,
guy we were talking to said, look at the big picture, Craig. Don't get right, you know.
yeah, but the big picture is part of 7th Street's.
I agree.
big Picture, and then when I was talking to another guy outside there that actually used to be an engineer in this area.
Oh.
And the bigger guy that was
Mhm.
outside the back room there. And he said that we're not done studying that. We'll see how that will flow with it. Because when I told him, I brought out, it's when the people that live over in that part of town are coming to work in the morning or at their 3 o'clock shift, whenever farmland changes, they're coming across there. And then people go into the sale barn, a lot of stock trailers coming from the south and from the west, they come down through there and they get that cut across. And if you're coming out of that roundabout, you got another cut across there to go to 7th Street right away. That's gonna be, you know, you might think you're getting rid of all the wrecks, but you're not taking into consideration one of the bigger challenges. Because when you're in a semi coming out of that, they're in your blind side where they're coming out of that corner there, so you might not even see them. And now at least if we stop, we're able to swing and get the truck kind of cockeyed so we can look that way. So I mean, I brought that up to it.
Right, because they won't be stopping.
Yeah, nobody will be stopping.
Yeah.
So then I said, that might not work the best, you know, because who's got to yield then? Are you gonna make them people yield?
Right.
Then what's the point of having the speed lane? Just let them go into the roundabout. You know, so, and that was what I brought up the truckers' perspective, because when we come up to them, I think I'd already brought it up to you guys, how cars are always trying to dart to get ahead of you because you're gonna be taking off slow with your truck, you know? So you get that where you're racing, and they said, yeah, we really don't know how you combat that other than people being courteous. I said, well, they probably will be at first, but eventually somebody's in a hurry to get to work or church or school or something. And I said, you know, nothing's flawless. I mean, I think roundabouts will work good, and I'll explain to you one way that I think it's good. A lot of times when I'm coming out of Monogram, it's hard to get across all that traffic. Or if somebody's coming from Joe's, especially with a truck or a tractor, it's hard to get across all that traffic. Well, now you'll just be able to, basically what they call a right in, right out. Just come out and then you just use the roundabout and you come back if you're gonna go south. You know, if traffic's heavy, if it ain't heavy, if they got a crossover, just cross. But if the traffic's heavy, just join the traffic and go out and do your thing.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to do it when they're doing the bridges. You won't even be able to cross, you know, to keep from making a traffic problem. So they'll have you doing right ins and right outs, which I think takes little bit longer, but the safety factor and the stress level goes down a lot.
I mean, the guy that Kyle and I were talking to, sharp individual, but he said that the bridges over the railroad tracks have to be taller and longer than what the current ones are. And so since it was gonna stretch further south, they were gonna do a roundabout on the south bucket of worms anyway.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, while we're here, why don't we just fix the north side too? And I asked him, I said, are there any intersections that are comparable to our bucket of worms in the state of Iowa? And he said, there is one in Ames. He said, was constructed just like the one you were. We fixed that with a roundabout.
Oh, they already fixed it.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. I mean, you were
It
able
was.
to lot, and they were really, they sent a knowledgeable team.
They had
They
quite
all
a
had
few
good
people
answers.
there. Yeah.
Everybody you talk to, I mean, I must have talked to 3 or 4 different guys with DOT, and they were all very good.
I thought so.
I was surprised that as many people while I was there showed up. You know, I just kind of was looking around and thought, oh, everybody seemed to have an interest in what they did it the way they did it.
I won't tell you I love them, but I don't hate them either. I mean, they serve a good purpose, but they're still frustrating.
So ours are gonna be wider for our semi-traffic, because the ones that I'm used to, like in Colorado, I cannot imagine
I agree with you.
semi.
Yeah, right, Gene, I agree with you.
I think they'll be a lot bigger.
Okay, yeah, they do look, they looked bigger on the actual little thing that they had, but it's, yeah, I hope so.
And then they got the
Never
little
heard of that.
aprons around there that the trailers can climb up on if a guy comes.
Right, and those aprons are kind of customized. That's what's different, is those aprons for everything.
Because we do have a lot of truck traffic.
Yeah,
We do have a lot of truck.
But that's what I just wanted to bring up first. Move on. Kyle.
Thanks for that. Wednesday, we had a solid waste commission meeting, then we went over the budget, and it was in the budget book, so it pretty much stayed the same as last year. We didn't change much of anything on that, so salaries going up, just what we're scheduled to go up according to the contract, so that's the only change that was really in there. Otherwise, the fees all stayed the same.
Just last year, the contract.
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure, but probably get close. I think they kind of run coinciding with secondary roads.
3 years.
Do we have a contract with Carroll County on our waste, or is that just annual, whatever tonnage we bring, it gets charged? Or
No, we do have a contract with them. I don't remember how many years we are into that contract though, but we do have I don't remember. Yeah, we do have a contract with them. I know it was quite a lengthy contract because they offered it to us. And we thought it was a smart move to take it at the time because it was a pretty decent rate. And we thought cost of garbage is only going up, so we jumped on it. So
I got years to go over there.
yeah,
what's
they
that?
got years. They just opened a new cell over there.
Carroll landfill, they have a lot of room to expand.
Okay.
But, yeah, so good question. I'd have to check on that, but I know we do. We own our garbage regardless of where it goes. We'll never get away from it. So we're responsible for it.
What a great thing to own.
I know. Cal, do you think Crawford County is keeping up with their recycling? Do we ever get a report on, you know, are we producing more recycling or less? I think it's kind of, I hate it that you can't put your recycle as county folks out, recycle bins out by the Good Samaritan over the weekend. I had some people concerned, you know, that's the one, a lot of people that work take care of that.
Yep. There's a reason why that is, because over the weekends, they usually get full of garbage.
That's
People put
unfortunate.
garbage in it instead of recyclable.
Yeah.
I would think they would put as much garbage in it during the week if that person is, you know, gonna do that. I don't,
Actually, those that out there by the Good Samaritan's shop usually have more garbage in them than recycling. So we're considering actually pulling them out completely.
oh, okay, well, it's not that much further.
Are
out
they
to the-
somewhere else too?
Not in Denison, but
Oh.
every community has one in.
Oh,
For
gotcha.
the-
Didn't some of
for the-
that slow down too when
So even like the one in Charter Oak down by the shed, they get garbage.
Yeah.
I
West
noticed
side,
that I'm getting a lot more garbage when I come back up for the weekend too. So I think of even my Dipsy dumpster, people see them, I think they think, well, it's the same garbage system, but they don't realize it.
Oh, yeah.
They have a Dipsy
Yeah.
dumpster.
West Side, the Good Samaritan Shop, and Charter Oak and Dallas City, yeah, the Good Samaritan Shop's really bad.
Well, they used to get a
That'd be
lot in
all
that dumpster they have out there for their stuff until they put that camera on, and they have actually, that's been great for them because they'll go back and see who dumped it in there, and they're not afraid to go.
So we're looking at putting cameras out there to try to, if we can't stop it, might consider pulling it. But Carroll County pulled all their rural recycling because it just wasn't
Full of garbage
full
too.
of garbage.
Well, here in Denison, it's not that much further on out to the actual landfill.
That's the
if
thing.
they have
It's
it,
another
so-
mile from the Good
Yeah.
Samaritan stop out to the.
Oh, I like the big blue garbage cans that we got in Charter Oak now.
Can you take the recyclables out to the landfill for free?
Mhm.
You can.
So just, as long as you get the word out that that's what's going on, I think, on a Saturday morning, I think people could just retrain themselves if, those people that work and have kids in sports and whatnot, weekends is when they kind of take care of that stuff, and so.
There's actually people that drive right past the landfill and call and complain that the dumpsters out there are gone.
Or they're full.
Or they're full, yes.
There's a lot of times I go out there, I'm like, oh my goodness, you can't get one more thing in
Makes you
there.
say,
Yeah, anyway,
Just
so
a-
that is a problem we're having is, and that was talked about lengthy the other night about how to try to combat that, so. Moving them to different spots in town, like the one on the west side, maybe moving it by the county shed, if that would help.
But I think
We're
the
getting a
camera's
lot of Carroll
always.
County garbage in that one.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Means they pulled all theirs.
Oh, sure.
So close to Carroll County.
A lot of Arcadia folks, when they come over this way.
Yeah,
drop it
might
off.
as well take your recycling, dump it.
You know?
And it's usually probably just one or two people that probably are ruining it for everybody, so
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You
we'll
don't,
try to figure that one out.
you don't want people to stop recycling is the other problem, because I actually
It
go to.
saves a lot out of the landfill. We'll do a better job of it. And there's just no market for it really right now.
Yeah, I thought the market really died.
China used to take like everything they could, they got the market, but I think they were taking it and just, I don't know, for some reason dumping it in the ocean, so. I don't get it either, so.
wow.
Most of the talk was the budget and the exact thing you were talking about, so. Then we had Yes Center meeting on Friday. The budget was discussed up there as well. Nothing was solidified in that. Just had basic numbers put in front of us. We'll discuss that in depth more next month, but biggest takeaway from that is Cheryl announced her retirement effective August.
Oh, really?
Yep, so.
What percent is the total budget increase?
Actually, it'd probably be. Well, I never did that number.
Okay,
yet, but
that's fine.
going 1,050,000 to proposed 1,100,000, so.
About 5%.
So what is that Cheryl's position then? What is
She's the director.
the new?
She hasn't been down here for a while.
No, she's been up there. Well, since your dad was probably going up there, so she's been up there a long time.
We have a hard time replacing, or do you think somebody from?
Actually, she's had, she said she's had some interest in the job already, so, and she said they're good candidates.
All right.
But she has expressed her new, I don't know, energy with the new director over at Central Iowa. The teamwork that, and the new director has been working well with the other directors, and some hope that things will work better as a state.
Great. Great.
Good. Sometimes change is good.
Talking about
I think that's it.
your dumping plastic in the ocean. Granted, this Google, it's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It is twice the size of Texas, floating. It's a floating island of
So it's,
trash
it's Greenland.
between California and Hawaii. Twice the size of Texas.
Whole patch of garbage.
600,000 square miles, mostly microplastics, fishing nets, marine debris, plastics.
So it's just kind of all found itself and huddled together in a big
These
pile.
the ocean currents kind of push it together.
Pushed it into-
Or
Holy
fishies.
crap.
Anything else, Kyle? Dave?
Yeah, a few things.
What is it, that chair that puts people to researching during the?
Everybody's got a home.
You started it.
Thanks for continuing.
Our 175th anniversary, I want to just comment, was very, very nice, well attended. Kudos to Amy and everybody that helped put that on. It's a good turnout.
I thought it was really good.
Gene for being on Channel 4.
I
Yeah.
don't know what
Good job, celebrity.
you don't know what they're gonna ask, you don't know, I thought it was just gonna be like, I thought it was a newspaper for some reason, I don't know, call me crazy.
That was
but-
nice event. Good to catch up with like Dean and some of the former
Yeah,
supervisors there.
yeah,
That's nice.
it was nice, the posters.
I hope that some of the communities plan on putting something into their, like when Troy Oak has achievement days or the cash show days, just throw something a little extra in for the 175th.
Do you think
You know,
that,
and most of the time, it don't take much for our old Germans to, hey, there's another reason to have a beer, let's do her. You know?
have Germans?
No, you're right about Amy though, in the posters, if you want to say, I was amazed because I thought, did you do all this just for this day? And evidently those are posters that are made up. that are
Right, yeah,
Stored somewhere. She said, when I leave here, they're gonna find stuff rat holed away in closets throughout the whole courthouse. But they
are
were,
they
they're,
still up?
Yes.
okay.
I believe
It was
so.
really nice.
I thought that went back to
For every
the
community.
Historic Society have a booth on the one year at the fair, and that's where all the
Yeah,
posters
Yeah,
come from.
most of it, yeah,
Yeah.
and some of it's new
Yep.
stuff that they put together, but yeah.
I think
yeah,
that
they
it's-
do a really good job.
We should let people know that they're still up for people that couldn't get in that day to just kind of mosey and read and learn a lot of stuff about Crawford County.
You know, that's not a bad idea, Gene, to have stuff like that from their historic stuff outside in the halls
Yeah,
through all this year.
Well,
Change it up from time to time.
absolutely, while you're
That's a
waiting in
great
line
idea.
to kind of read it, because there were a lot of people that didn't remember it was, or they're working, or, just didn't
That's
get
a
up
great
there.
idea.
They really, there's interest in it,
Would be
there really
better to
is.
have it.
Use it down in the basement and up on this floor in particular, where
Yeah.
there's most traffic. That's a great idea.
Let's do it, let's do it. It was,
That's a great idea.
was good, so.
Yeah, the other thing, I was gonna read you guys, Rick Hunsucker, he's been bringing this up over the last couple of years. I know he reached out to Senator Schultz. He sent an email to Steve Holt, and it has to do with our IGHCP insurance. And basically, I just read it quick for you. Representative Holt, I write to address an issue with which impacts Crawford County as well as 19 other counties in Iowa, 26 cities, 4 school districts, 4 regional government organizations, including Region 12. IGHCP is a governmental entity formed through Chapter 28E to assist its public entities in mitigating health insurance risk, reducing costs, and hedging against future premium increase shocks through the power of numbers. With over 9,000 lives now insured, the group has power to negotiate favorable health insurance rates as for its members. The issue, we're taxed on it. We pay 1% of the premiums as taxed. So it sounds like a lot, but it's 700,000 each year. Wow. It was up to 1.2. So what Rick is advocating, because that's local dollars being used as tax money for better health insurance for government, local government entities. My ask to you is IGHCP as a government entity should be exempt from this premium. The legislature should amend Code 432.13 and add a third clause with wording something like premiums collected by insurers for entities formed under 2080 purchase purchasing health insurance for its members are exempt from the premium tax. Please introduce this legislation or ask for it to be included in an appropriate bill as amended. And this isn't something new. There is other entities that are governmental that are tax exempt for this type of thing.
So other NGOs or is it just government entity?
Let's see, an exemption rewards the innovation of IGHCP and like group member join force to control costs and protect taxpayers. All government should encourage from partnership which lessens the cost of taxpayer collaboration to be more efficient and save taxpayer funds should be rewarded. Oh, I'd have to look through. I thought you did list the other examples in here. But it's kind of one of those deals. I think, you know, his train of thought is if we weren't taxed on that and that money stayed through lesser premiums for our group, that's more money in our local pockets too.
So we're taxed by the state?
You know, that's more for us to use and reduce taxes,
Tax dollars.
or we're taxed and send 700,000 to the state.
That's a lot.
For all those 19 counties?
Yeah. For the whole group.
Well, Terry and I,
That's what I was thinking, Terry.
Kim's,
They don't have problem charging us, but we can't charge.
Kyle?
do you guys think that, so they're having their annual meeting, IGHCP, almost like a vision test here for me. They're having their meeting in February and we're supposed to let them know if we want to go. Do you think Terry and I should go to that? It's February the 12th. Respond to RSVP Friday. We should have let them know already.
Right.
But I wonder if we gather any information that would be useful. The 2026 annual IGHCP meeting is scheduled for February 12th and 13th at the Hilton. You think we'd pick it? I wasn't going.
Rick is on that board.
You think he could just come and give us a report?
He could. He always said if we ever want him to come over and talk about anything, he's more than willing to do so.
Maybe rather than Terry and I taking 2 days and going.
Right.
Because Rick would have a thorough report.
Yeah, I could reach out to Rick after that, have him
Yeah.
come talk to us about it. Here it is. The state of Iowa has exempted some parties for paying this tax in 432.13. The Hawkeye program, premiums paid by DOS on behalf of state employees and premiums paid by Board of Regents are all exempt. So they do it for
Some, but not
some,
all.
right?
How convenient.
But it's,
I'm glad Rick's bringing that to their attention.
yeah, I
Yeah.
am too. And he didn't get anywhere with it last year, but he's still would just,
I mean, if the
Bring it
state
up.
wants to know how they can help, you know, that would reduce property tax.
right.
Right.
You
If we're
think,
paying a tax that goes to the state and we don't see any of that money, what do they do with it?
You know what they do.
Right. So I think, yeah, it's something
Well,
good that he keeps bringing up to our legislators.
we can
Good.
get the material.
Good.
You know, electronically, so we could have the material. It'd be nice to review it and see if we wanted to talk to Rick about before he goes things.
Topics.
But I'm sure Rick's on top of knowing what's concerning to us counties. Sure. I'll try to print this stuff out. See what I can glean.
Otherwise, the only other thing, Thursday, I'm gonna take up early in the morning. We do have a ISAC executive board meeting. Wednesday, Thursday, I'm not gonna go Wednesday, but I'll go Thursday. And Thursday, we cover the budget and I think we're gonna go over some of the legislative updates.
I mean, from legislative updates, I mean, they've just started. They're
We
really,
just started that.
there's not much.
But they're off with a bang, aren't they?
They're off and running.
Yes.
Well, like Jamie loves to say, get all these thoughts thrown out there and
Read through it, you know.
you're right.
Oh,
And what actually comes out and gets signed.
It's too early to get
Right.
worked up about stuff.
I mean, we had a Crawford County Republican meeting last week too. And like I just mentioned, I said, it's a little bit disappointing that the Republican Party certainly is the majority down in Des Moines from the House, the Senate, and the governor. And yet they're not united enough to come out with one bill. They all have their own and they're gonna fight and bicker and argue.
And a
I'm
couple of
sure until the last week of the session before anything will be passed. They might even extend it just to get something passed. But that's the only disappointing part, I guess. I
Well,
mean, you
that's
wish they were
also-
more, they were
yeah,
more
so I hope they don't
united.
do that.
Had a more united front. I like that. I'm glad, I mean, everybody has their own idea, but it's makes you kind of wish they would have talked about that already.
You
So
would,
we would have just came out with, here's what we're gonna do.
You know,
You can argue in public and that's fine.
I don't know for sure how everything operates down there, but you
Me
know,
neither.
that half of the year that they're not in session, surely that, like, the speaker could have a group that you could, I mean, you don't even have to ask them to volunteer, you could pay them, I guess, I mean, for some kind of special purpose like this. This is something that affects everybody in the state. So I mean, having somewhere you worked on it in the off season, so when you did get to the season,
If we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
I mean, it isn't like you had a quorum. You only need 10,
Right.
or, you know, say 5 people from each body, you know, and then somebody from the governor's office. I don't. Yeah, I don't know, maybe you can't legally do that, I don't know.
You're gonna.
Right.
I don't
I
know.
got your bullet points written down.
Gene?
Gene was gonna put me together some bullet points to talk to Andrew about some.
So I talked to Steve yesterday for quite a while, just some of the concerns, and so he thinks we should bring more of those things forward, so. If
She
you
did tell me, I did talk to her this morning on my way here,
okay,
and she, with your, Steve's comment to you about the direction of ISAC or how they lean one way or the other, she did say, if you look at the makeup of ISAC, it is 87% Republican. So he was kind of worried about
What's the percentage? Sorry,
87%.
87?
just some things, I have them written down, but I will text them to you.
He thought it was leaning one way too far.
Possibly, on
Who thought that?
certain issues.
Oh. Red, if there's 87%,
He thought the other
I
way.
don't think it's really,
Maybe, well,
I think what they don't realize is that ISAC's biggest problem,
coming up neutral.
I think ISAC's biggest problem, if you want to just talk about a problem that they have, is because they represent so many
That's the
different
problem.
associations within one association. Because you got engineers, you got law enforcement, you got auditors, you got treasurers, you got
Yeah.
supervisors.
And it's hard to have consensus across that many different affiliates.
And
Big
so it's
counties
hard
or
for
little
them to come
counties?
out, you know, when you have a bill like just use the back to blue, for instance, it comes out at the last second. I remember hearing that, well, ISAC registered as
Undecided.
undecided.
Yeah.
Well, you got something like that, you throw it the last second. I mean, we can't go against the sheriffs, I mean, without actually understanding what's in it. And so, I mean, that, to me, so they have to be, you know, if they're wanting good impact or input from us, ISAC being us, I mean, they gotta actually make sure that don't wait for us to call you, especially when you do something at the last second, you know?
Well, then to make it so vague,
Yeah.
and then not to really understand what the
Nobody-
total impact of that was, you just really, it's not a good
Right.
practice.
Well, I think if you'd had the input of ISAC, you'd have had the sheriffs talking, the supervisors talking, all the main players would have been involved.
And
And then
he,
you probably would have had a good legislation crafted that would have been able easy to promote.
I think that's part of the
he
problem.
admits that has
He's
some
thinking, well, you're
flaws,
not
there's
in
no
line
doubt.
for
But I think
we wanna
anytime
do,
you
well,
drop
for different entities and
tax reform and just kind of say they're talking about tax reform and nobody really,
You know,
it's
our
just like
jobs are
you're waiting for
affected
the
different
next
ways
shoe to
from the
drop on
decisions
what
they're making,
exactly
and
they're
they
talking
don't
about, so
want
they
to
need
see
to
it.
get that.
Right.
Yeah. But
Or
not
hear
for
it,
us, I
for
think.
that
So.
Right?
I
Did
think
she
our
say,
legislative
is this
staff
gal
learned
gonna
a
take
lot from
health insurance and all
Jamie
that
and
stuff,
Dr.
or when it's
I think
like,
so. I don't know that answer, but
don't you think that when it comes, we
I
don't
think
know?
so.
I know, but they have 30 days to sign up
Oh,
for
they
that
do?
stuff.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, it doesn't have to be the day
Okay.
that they actually sit in the chair. So, yeah, they do have time to do that.
Okay, because I was thinking if we've got her in the system and
Yeah.
everybody knows.
Gene, you have any chairman?
I did not have
Like
a
to have-
meeting. I did go play bingo to help raise money for the Bell.
did you win?
Jerry won 3 times.
Did you steal his card?
Did you donate it back?
Well, it wasn't money, it
Oh.
was, and they had so many donated prizes that towards the end, they were kind of doubling the prizes up. And we were doing, you know, don't clear your cards, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Blackout.
And I was with a group of 5 and we were on the last game. I hadn't won yet, but Jerry was having me pick out his gifts. I was trying so hard to get something he would want. But it was fun, and I'll be curious to know how much money we raised with that, because it was just a
That's
real
cool.
simple night out, and they're gonna do it again, but I'm hoping they raise some good funds.
Bingo's always a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bingo's fun,
it,
though.
it is kind of fun. I, at the last minute, called
See that
Pam,
commercial?
ex-mayor of Denison, and she came out and played bingo, and Adam Reese came with us, and Sally came, and so we had our own little table over there. And Mick was kind of fun. He, yeah.
I was just thinking of I said to David, asked me, have you seen that commercial where the little old ladies were all running around doing different things, and they went to a bingo thing. It's just all in a commercial.
Yeah.
And the one jumps up, a taller gal, she jumps up, bingo, turns around and flashes. So bingo's fun.
So one of the prizes was today from 9 to 10, somebody could pick their music and Nick would play it. And the only one that Jerry got up to get for himself was that, because he didn't really know it was there. So he went home and picked out all of his favorite music. For an hour, we'll be playing on KTSN today.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
a cool idea.
That might be a good one to listen
it
to.
took him a while to get his favorites, because everything in his playlist, which is 105 songs, is his favorite. But he took that very serious to get, and so it was quite I hope I can go back and, well, I know which ones he's gonna play, but.
The Hyde family has a broad sense of music that they
We
like.
do.
I mean, it's from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Which is what I was thinking.
Brother John was that way.
Yeah, Jerry's speakers down in the basement are bigger than that trash can. Yeah, you know when Jerry's playing music, let's just put it that way. For COVID.
So there might be
we
a
put it
little
in the
hair
back of his
music, there might
pickup,
be a
and
little
we brought
heavy
it
safety
uptown,
rock.
and we danced in the streets just to get out of the, Anyway, Jerry, so that was fun. So Nick made it fun. Amy, once again, went to a lot of work going and getting all of those donations and getting it all organized. They had food. It was very nice. And they're gonna do it again. So maybe we can all go and
Well, where was that at?
out at Yellow Smoke at the Overlook. I was amazed how many donated gifts she had come. It's really a nice, fun time.
Which
So,
group put it on?
the praise money for the bell tower.
Bell
The
Tower.
Historical Society?
Historical, yes, historical.
Story
Society.
preservation.
Preservation.
Historic. Well, that's good. That's actually a pretty good
Go
group.
on
Do you know where they're at? On the Bell cabin? As far
I'm not
as
sure.
fundraising total dollar amount they've got up to?
And, we probably should have had more of a presentation on how much more they need and where they're at with it, but we were just so busy. I think we forgot to ask about that, but
We can have a come to
Yeah.
a meeting,
we should.
especially once they get all this tallied up.
Because I think it's another one of those things that we hit it hard and then, kind
Yeah.
of goes, but to keep that in the forefront, because once again, that's a lot
Because
of.
that setup will be happening
Yeah.
sometime this year, I think.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep on our calendars when they're gonna do that again.
Bingo and beer.
Bingo. I don't think they had it. I didn't have any. I
Bring
think
your
Nick
own.
might have had some, but.
Ty, you got anything?
Not a whole lot. Since our last one, anyway. I did see though that Rachel's on leave of absence, so if you need something, don't contact her down the ISAC.
Yeah, Andrew mentioned that today.
I did get signed up, but I don't have a room.
And I gotta get a hold of them because I'm supposed to be getting prepped for next week's meeting. Don't forget, we'll have a meeting between now and then, or several of them. But next week, we got our ISAC Supervisors Association.
Next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta be
We gotta be there tonight before, so do you.
here for education.
I know, and we need some
Dave will bring,
education.
so that the bad part is you're not gonna get an egg sandwich in the evening for taking off.
Darn it.
No, the biggest thing that I had was when we talked about the roundabouts and the bridges, and I was actually very happy to see that they were trying to work around to where they weren't gonna basically blockade Denison off with bridge work.
Yeah.
They've got a lot going on,
I mean, we talked to the DOT and I asked them, what's the projected cost of the total project? He said somewhere, about 16 to 18 million is what they estimate it's gonna be. And 3 years to do it.
Jerry could believe it.
And I think is that when they have a project, when DOT is gonna spend that money somewhere in the state of Iowa. Whether they do it here or they do it somewhere else. So I mean, just to think that, hey, if they don't do this, the state will save 16 to 18 million. That's not the case. It's gonna be spent anywhere, so anyway. So.
Do we know who the contractor is, or did they not put out for bids yet?
And it won't bid until
Level.
summer of
28.
Know how we do it here, they do it the same way. Oh, yeah,
My takeaway, maybe you guys got it too, was the trouble working with the UP. It kind of scares me about our project. So that it could take a year to build that bridge, one bridge over the UP line. So
with all the special,
I think the state would have a little bit more weight.
state UP's up here with their rules, and the states down here, you got a couple more levels of government in between.
Iowa, when the robber barons were building railroad, Iowa wasn't a state yet, so we don't have any, we don't have any.
I mean, one thing that I remember Paul saying is that, you know, the Donna Reed Bridge, I mean, he negotiated so that we don't have to span the whole UP right away. But the state doesn't negotiate or argue with that. They just do it. And I remember Paul saying one time that he asked the DOT, or the DOT, head of the DOT said to Paul, we don't negotiate that because we've got plenty of money. So, you know,
Said no one ever, right?
different approach.
And the state thinks that they got enough money to spend that, so why argue?
Exactly.
So there's another bridge that could have been probably done,
Probably done a little bit cheaper if they would have negotiated
and then you could have built another bridge
and
again.
fought tooth and nail with the railroad, like Paul did,
But maybe that's how they get done quicker or something.
perhaps.
I remember one of my first projects with Paul was those two wooden bridges that go over the railroad tracks on the west end of Crawford,
No, ask them.
down by Asmal, and right on the county line with Carroll. We lucked out, and all we had to do was pay for the supplies, and the railroad did it all.
Remember that.
They had to have flaggers and watch for traffic, and then the one on the county line had two power lines they couldn't shut off that crisscrossed over the top. Huge hazardous conditions, and the railroad just said, we want to do it to our specs, you buy the planks and the materials, and we'll do it. We said, deal.
Deal.
The only other thing that I had was the rural action caucus. We had our meeting on Thursday, and there was, I can't remember the dang number and name of that bill, the one that I actually flew out there for.
It'll come to you.
It's the one that's gonna work, trying to get more funding directly to our rural counties. And, you know, Gene's actually got a paper there that shows all the populations of the
I
counties.
do.
And we don't necessarily always think of ourselves as a real rural county, but population wise now, we're a real rural county. And we know that we, you know, when we try to afford things to grow our county, you know, I mean, look at like CDC. I mean, if you compare them to even a county that's probably 10,000 to 20,000 more people than us, they're very limited in funding. And that's what makes us grow, is to have those type of people in place. So that bill is supposed to help us, you know, with grant opportunities, let's put it like that, for planners and grant writers and those type of things. And once you get that going, unless you need, you know, you can probably put in for another grant when that comes up to expire. It's supposed to be like 3-year grants and stuff like that. But if it would get to where it might expire, you'd have, you know, hopefully you're growing some where you can afford a little more, and you start to see the value of those people, so you'll invest in them. But when we're fighting getting property taxes down, we're really going to need things like that, or we're just going to keep shrinking. In the event Ben's here, so they can let us up to that.
I forgot one thing, Mr. Chairman. February 23rd, Cherokee's gonna host a battery storage. These big battery banks, they're gonna host an information deal. I can get more information on where and what time, but Ryan Peterson just let us know when we're up at Cherokee last Friday that they're gonna be hosting one on the 23rd of February.
So are they building one up there then? So
They must be getting,
That ties into the whole electrical grid.
yeah.
get batteries around, I suppose that helps you if something happens to the grid, but you still gotta have it. I don't know what the batteries do. Backups never hurt.
No.
Yeah. Thanks, Kyle. When is that?
February 23rd.
Anything else, Ty?
I think I'm kind of covered.
Right on time.
Right. Ben?
It's on schedule.
That's a Crawford case.
Yep.
Another way to look at it, isn't it?
Right,
A
right.
little different.
I will continue with this.
Don't have a whole lot on, I know later we'll be up here doing budget talks, so keep this short and sweet, but, we got, of course, our project letting date is tomorrow for the HMA, up until one HMA open widening. So anxious about that, and like to see what we get for numbers and
So is most of that done online, or are they written, or?
The contractors get the plans online on BidX, and they're able to view the plans and print them off, what have you, and it's been posted up on that for a few weeks now, I suppose. And so they have a chance to review them, get some numbers together, call me if they got questions, which had a gentleman call this morning, or a message on the phone this morning. We're trying to get old, I have a question on the plans, you know,
So do you know if anybody submitted anything yet? Or do you
It'll
only
all
know
be-
on the 21st?
We won't know anything till tomorrow. Well, I think the submission, so
They usually
will
come in
post
at the last minute, don't they?
Yeah, they don't wanna, they're not gonna put anything up for other people to see their bid or anything like that, until
Oh, so a competitor can see another person's bid.
I
Or
think
only-
once it's submitted, they can, they'll post those results and see who has.
Okay.
At which point, like I said, next week, should have, contractor approved by the board here. So,
It works for me. I'm at the street truck Saturday morning when I was heading south there. And they don't burn up some gravel. Oh, well, we can't get that wider soon enough for me.
What's, I think you said, what's your estimate on that project? Approximately 6.1. 6.1. See. Yeah, the oil prices keep going down, we'll be under that. It'll be interesting, like I said, I think I do have myself set up, as far as digital sign, bill sign contract with the DOT, I think we're all in place in that regard.
When you say we're doing like a 4-inch, or how many inches are we overlaying?
See, it's, 3.5 inches.
Grinding off a 1/2 inch or
We're, middle off an inch, but 3.5.
storing that out of our.
It depends on where they want to put up their batch line site, so they'll bill it, probably take it straight to where they set up the batch line site, which we're making available, the county yard up there, the new purchased yard, the Turco. We made that available as well as the Schleswig yard, if that's preferable, which we did have one contractor call, ask, is that yard available? Yes, it is. They are looking at the Schleswig yard too, so. It'll be there. They may not want to use either one. They gotta say so, but it's in the plans as that's available, and a lot of times that's.
So if there's somebody who's bid like a Nider County project too, they might want to be less big as opposed to.
Possibly.
I see, yeah. I was curious why it'd be Schleswig at all. Because
Yeah.
Turner
Well,
would be a lot
if they're
closer to
doing
save
it,
the truck.
try to
Right, but if they're
just
doing
find
two
one
different, I
place.
didn't think about that, you know.
How much rent would we get on that? What's that average that we get when they use that?
35,000, is that roughly
35,000?
what?
Is that the going rate to use our space for?
I think we just take that off the bid.
It's
Our
just,
project.
it's just to get lower bids to make available the batch line site. They won't have to rent a site.
Oh,
somewhere
okay.
out there.
If they were doing a
It
stage
should
job.
very much help
Okay,
in,
all right.
getting some lower bids. So we put a number to it. I guess we really haven't, but just knowing that, make that available should
Okay,
get us a better price.
I get it. Dollar signs, we're going over. Sorry.
But yeah, well, that'll be tomorrow. We'll see what we get. And
Okay.
hopefully it'll come in lower than expected. So, I'll send an email out after we know.
Sounds good.
Let you know what numbers came in. Our daily labor crews, they're still up cutting trees, doing what they can on the roads. Like I said, they're out pretty good, just not disturbing much. But this time of year, especially coming up this weekend, another cold weekend, you know, they'll do what they can outdoors when they can, when it makes sense. Our bridge crews they're doing some action items, fixing around some bridges and culverts, little things, picking around here and there. But you know, when it's too cold out there, we don't
Safety first.
Safety first. We don't want them out there, you know, get frost. They are on Friday, we're a windy day, so.
You don't want them getting cold with the bone and you catching a flu, then you got guys down for that, so I don't.
Right. So, I mean, there's always maintenance things to do with the job, you know, maintenance of the equipment, you know, it's you know, there's just gonna be cold days for that, so.
Were you running straight number one, or do you still run a blend on like this cold weekend coming?
I believe we're on straight number one now, yeah, the last tanker that would have came in would have been straight number one.
That would be blending you down to like a 60-40 or when they filled up straight one or.
You know, some of the later fall months, we do a 50-50 blend, I believe it's 50-50.
Usually on the big trucks, you know, do we get them where we got even the outside fuel heaters or the outside fuel filter's got a heater on it? Like my trucks, I got a heater that plugs into that. You know, and if you get to at least a 50-50 and then you throw some housing in there to get the water's the problem. Even at sub-zero, it'll chunk up and plug a line. You know, so I mean, if you get down to a 50-50 blend, that's usually plenty good. But I mean, now my wife's got a diesel in her little pickup. I just have her, I put house and some lubricant in there. I said, you just keep number one in there. I don't want you sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's programs work well for us. You know, you don't, like I said, usually get a tanker 50-50 and, you know, in the late fall, and then when it starts getting colder, then it's just straight number one. And same thing coming into spring, looks like things will start getting a little warm up, start going 50-50 again, and then we mentioned back to number two. I suppose if it looks like we got some extreme cold coming in, we know it's only 50-50, no it's those in the house and things, and make sure not gonna gel up. So, but that's kind of how we've always done.
I like to throw conditioner though, even, especially if you're going straight or number one, because it burns to dry. So it's better, you know, helps your injector. Always something to think about. If you buy that in volume, it gets it cheaper. I don't buy that much of it at all.
Sure.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only your trucks, so I mean, it isn't like your motor graders too. It isn't the dozers and stuff. So, tractors, that's all it takes. So we're good.
Speaking of dozers, our dozer is still, as you say, getting worked on. They have all the parts there.
Which one? Is the E? The electric over?
No.
It's the
P6. Yeah, the P6. It had the bearing shell out in the transmission.
Oh, I remember
You know,
saying that.
it could be a bit of an expensive fix, but it's just too good a machine to not fix. We plan on using that machine. We do plan on turning on possibly the other one for a smaller D5 dozer. It's kind of, well, like I said, talk budget and stuff here, you know, later. Kind of what the equipment budget is looking like possibly. So, but that's the one thing fixed is we plan on keeping it running for some time. So we went full gambit to recondition that transmission, get some extended warranty on that, and should be good to go for a while. So, but that is still up in stage. They've worked on the all parts, but still up there. But intend to have that back by spring. So, yeah, so.
Does the straight D6 and the E, which one's getting more hours a year? I'm gonna guess the E's getting more hours a year.
The E right now is, Blair one runs that one pretty much.
Yeah.
That's his main machine right now.
Sure.
And the other one is whoever we have as a part-time guy, he runs that other one most of the time.
You know, and the reason I'm asking is where we're doing this transmission work now, and the E is straight drive at the final drives, it's straight electric drive. There's no transmission to worry about. It'd be neat to see what that long-term maintenance costs is as we're evaluating that over the years. You know, E versus just going straight D6. And we already know we got better fuel savings, so.
Oh,
That's.
Yeah, you just put together a few work. I see, I didn't know Joe's was involved with that. I just looked through it.
No, with the dirt crew, since they use bulk fuel, they fill up 400 gallons or whatever in the pickups. We just registered that the dirt crew uses 400 gallons.
Oh, so we aren't watching it by vehicle?
No.
I know Jim, I asked him after, I think that first year, maybe it was into the second year, and I asked him. So they told us we were gonna get like 20% fuel savings with this trip, with this note. I said, "You think we're gonna get that note?" You know, yeah. And I said, "So what are we getting?" And he said, "Well, I put about half as much fuel in as the other one, so maybe 50%.
Well,
I just about got real happy there.
it's really about as accurate as the guy's gonna get out there, because for our fuel, you know, keep track of our fuel, what they're doing is they're filling up, like I said, their tank on the pickup and taking it out to that fit station. It's not metered off the truck, so they know what they're putting in the tank, but they have no idea what they're putting in that dozer. So they've been guessing on how many gallons they're putting in that versus the other one. So, I mean, it's a, you know, they're using half as much fuel in it. That's about as close as we're able to discern, unless you're gonna, you know, put meters on the fuel tanks in the truck or take the
There
dozer.
would be something to think about in the future, though. I mean, especially if they start.
Truly
giving
wants
us
to
more
know.
greater opportunity for a diesel over electric. With all the ones that we got running around, boy, we can make some significant savings there.
They haven't come up with that.
They said they don't sell enough of them, so they ain't gonna work. That's what I already talked to Chad.
That was all order. Yeah,
It was pretty
I
disappointing.
think they agree. Should be though.
Especially if you ain't got all the transmission stuff to worry about and all that. I mean, if you just run out there at the final drive, run wiring, gosh dang it, that's maintenance saving, fuel savings. It just starts to number up. I get excited in my truck's about 2 or 3%, never mind 50. You know? Anyway. So just questions, since we're on the subject, thank you.
The only other discussion item, the public meeting that we had last week regarding the roundabouts and whatnot. I know a couple of you made her down there and we were able to kind of ask for yourselves kind of what's going on there. Looks to me like really the bulk of the construction not starting until 2029, possibly late 2028, doing a little bit, but which is good for us if we're looking at our bridge and we're running, if we, for any reason, again, do construction in 2027 season, we'd be looking at the 2028, still be within our funding timeframe for not lose our grant money for that. And that was my biggest question there. That and, you know, how they're gonna approach the construction, where traffic's gonna find its way around. It sounds like they've got a lot to figure out yet on how they're gonna approach construction to know what traffic will be able to go through versus who will have to be detoured around for what direction. So until they know that, we don't know what we're looking at for traffic, you know, finding its way around. I anticipate some traffic, of course, regardless, is gonna find their way around it behind, on the gravel road, that's Joe's building. They're just gonna try to put it all together and, but hard to know until they have a plan. So,
You know,
We
I
all gather.
yeah.
appreciate you being there and finding out all that and working with them already. Just help give them ideas on what we're worried about.
Yeah, and you know, some of the folks that were there, I visited with previously too, trying to get, you know, some sort of timeframes from them, and they really haven't had much of an answer as of yet. I think it's still kind of in the preliminary design phase, and so it's they'll be in touch the closer they get to that point. But like I said, it's a great thing that they're going to be out there a little ways into 2029. Yeah, that way we know our project. We've got the time we need to get that done, and so it's not overlapping in that regard. So feel good about that.
Blockade won't be.
Dan, I got one quick question for you.
Yes.
I was asked at the Asphalt quote the other day, March Squares Bridge there south of Vale, right around the curve.
Okay.
there's some talk that that might get worked on, and I don't think that's in our 26 project, and it's not. Is that needing work, or is that down the road, or?
Oh.
It's in the schedule, but it's within the 5-year plan,
Okay.
but I can't guarantee exactly when it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Next year,
thought, but I didn't know for sure. so-
Superstructure issues or?
Just like all the bridges now, they're all built in the 40s and 50s, and they're just with salt and calcium and heavier traffic on them, they're showing abuse. They never fall over around the world and stay, you know, so they're not getting left out. We've got to keep up on the maintenance, sure, we keep on rebuilding them so we can keep them ahead without going too far.
Does Mark think it needs work?
Oh, it wasn't Mark, it was actually Jerome and Mark Rieselman that asked me about it. I think they were more wondering just for traffic and if it was gonna be shut down or not. And I said, it wasn't in our 26 plan, but
No.
it is in our 5-year plan.
Well, I'd have to look at that. I'm not sure how far down the road we're looking at, or I'm not sure if I know exactly what bridge we're talking about. But yeah, not 2026, so, and,
They were just asking anyway. Anything else, Ben?
we got a very aggressive 2026 construction season. I would be surprised if a lot of the bridge or culvert work being carried over to the next season as well. So as far as that goes, we're probably gonna tackle the ones, you know, that we may be able to, you know, like some used beams on or whatnot. I think as far as culverts are concerned, we're gonna tackle ones where we can get some hook canyons funding. Like I said, just try to save dollars and get money where we can for some of these projects. But some of these, we're
You're singing my song, keep singing.
it's well, finding out, you know, for the budget, I'll talk more on that later, but gonna try and do things kind of on a budget. and do the bridges that we know are more affordable than others.
Thanks,
I
Ben.
got a chance to meet with Dwayne.
So Ben, if you guys wanna, Kurt's up next.
Yes.
About the ICAP, you and I discussed. Do you wanna stick around?
I certainly do. Okay, I'll let him come up here.
Yes, I did.
So Kurt, you're on.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming.
So, mind pass these this way. Last time I was here, we talked about those property valuations. But in that discussion, I was asked to show loss runs. So that first page is 5-year loss runs. And so it'd really be 4.5 years worth. I don't know, Craig, if you were specifically looking for some of them larger items that would have had a loss that we could discuss.
I think what Ben and I talked about, because we talked about it last Thursday, was just what has been our loss over the last year, 5 years, what our losses have been, and how we can compare that versus what the premium is that we're paying.
Sure.
And is there better ways to manage our policy than what?
Yeah,
we're
and
currently doing?
that's good for me to know where you're heading with this. You also asked for last year's premium, kind of an overview.
Yep.
We break it down within those numbers, but I actually threw in 2 years, the last 2 years in
Good.
premium. So you can take a look at that. I think last year it went up a little less than 5% on the ICAP side, property and casualty. I mean, last week. And I think now I'm going to jump back to that first page. When you look at 56 claims in 5 years for as much exposure as you have, and 14 of those were actually 0 claims. A lot of those were when Joe Public alleged that the secondary roads didn't do a road right and it caused an accident, or a rock came out of uncovered, or a truck, you know, those kinds of things. That's going to happen in any city or county. What you have when you have an insurance company is somebody to defend and say they weren't liable. So on those 14 of the 56, they were 0 claims. And there's probably another handful that are very small claims, okay? There are, if you'll notice, I highlighted mine.
There are 8 open claims, I believe. One on the bottom that's 9 up that is still out there that would have, so the one column total paid and then total incurred. Insurance companies set a reserve on some of those. That's where you're seeing the one that's, does that make sense?
Got a lot of ditches.
Yeah, I mean, but again, when overall for 5 years, this is not terrible. So I want to commend you there. Last week, we talked about the safety side of it. This is a good way, Craig, to look at, we can dig deeper if you have a question on one of these claims. For instance, if you go up, about 15 from the bottom of the page, there's 2 that are on the police, Crawford County, and they're open. That's when I did look at that one because that was a little bit larger. And why is it still open? I believe a deputy, the note said there was a wreck. He stopped the road because there was a fatality involved, which to me sounds like a smart thing to do. And then a semi or a vehicle came over and hit the setup. So that one is still out there in litigation, if you will.
But the, some has been paid on those, even though they're open, some.
So the property damage more than likely, Craig, would be paid.
Gotcha.
And then there could be a indemnity claim or a medical claim that still has to be until it's closed, right? But there was a lot of columns. I tried to condense it to one page and not
Yeah, I appreciate
go
that.
over everything.
It's good.
But I
Very
think
good.
when I look at, if I might interject, I guess if I was sitting in your chair, you look at the departments, the amounts, the frequency of things.
Yep.
But keep in mind who has the most exposure, secondary roads and your sheriff's department.
Well, they're constantly out.
Yeah, exactly. Dealing with the public that,
They got jobs that
yeah,
are a little riskier or work averse,
Yeah.
for
so
physical.
hopefully that helps. I think that's, and then like I said, then the next 2 pages are just an overview of what you paid the last 2 years. And then if I could,
Last 2 years, right?
last 2 years, yeah. So first one is 24 to 25, and remember, it goes from July 1st to June 30th, So we're still on this 5th year, if you will. And so the last page is the most recent. There was a little less than a 5% increase. And for budgeting purposes, ICAP has forecasted property is going to be flat. Liability is going to be 2% increase. And then those stated value amounts that we talked about, that's kind of still in your court and can be for a while. Do we want replacement cost or do we want stated amount on some of the older items over 100,000 that we looked at?
So if we do the stated amount, I mean, currently that 375,098 is what we're paying this year.
Yep.
If we leave it at the stated amount, how much will it be for 26, 27? Do you know
So
that number
You
yet?
can
or
take about 2% on all
2%?
your liabilities.
Based on the letter that we got that said 2%?
Exactly, and then you're always gonna have that on your property, and an increased value and inflation, or if you will, and they roughly said no more than 2%, so really not a bad.
And the information that you gave us on the first page, does that cover all of the divisions that that we pay ICAP for property, inland marine, business, auto, law enforcement liability, public officials, general liability, marketing and administration fee? Is that all the claims that would be in
Yeah.
all of those categories?
So ICAP is your property and casualty, all the things you just said. IMWCA, Iowa Municipalities Worker Comp Association, just does your work comp losses. So those are, so yes, to answer your question.
So that 375,098 we send to ICAP. ICAP gets that.
Bingo. Yeah. Okay, so now another one that I know Terry has asked this before, Terry, about deductibles. And when the question was asked, the pushback I got from ICAP was reinsurance to do it in the middle of the year was not applicable or obtainable without a lot of obstacles, I'll just say. So I have now reached out to Tim Butler again, who was on vacation last week, and I called about raising some of these deductibles. You guys having a little more skin in the game. So for instance, on your property, and maybe it'll make sense, maybe it won't. Some areas we see that. So your property deductible is 2,500. Okay, your inland marine is only 750. So I think that one will really make sense to look at. And when I say inland marine, that's your property that goes off premise. Okay, so all the secondary roads, they might be parked down there, but they're out somewhere doing work on the roads, in the weather, where the risk is higher, right? When we have a lawnmower mowing lawn out at Yellow Smoke, is that really that high risk? Now, can it throw a rock and hit a camper? Yeah, and it has if you dig into some of those. But I mean, by and large, your big items where a maintainer crests the road and does a head on and they find it to be your fault. And now we not only have property, but we might have bodily injury, right? So the inland marine stuff with 750, as I look at it, maybe when you ask that, Terry, maybe that's a smart one to dig in on. And then auto, it's kind of interesting. So Clarence wrote this down. Kim has touched it quite a bit, and I'm gonna try to get really involved. So when you have me up here, I'm happy to come up. So we have a good communication line. But auto is 500 comp, 1,000 collision. All departments, with the exception of the sheriff's, and they're at 200, 300. And that was a choice at one time.
Yeah.
Maybe we raise those on those 10 vehicles, will it really make a difference? We'll see. You know, but that's one that I stood out to me because and Kim's telling me that sheriff's department wanted that, and the supervisors at that time thought it was a good idea, but it doesn't mean that it's still a good idea or it can be looked at.
Nice to know the difference.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna task ICAP with. And last week I touched on it. Terry certainly knows this. The anniversary supplement comes out in a couple of weeks. So it's a really good time to ask them to give us some numbers. Okay.
I mean, I think from the, I don't know, from my perspective, is that when you got a premium that you're paying $375,000 a year, so over 5 years, we paid $1.8 million in premium, and we got $279,000 worth of benefit. So
In that year though.
over the
Oh, in
last
5
five
Yep,
years,
yep,
it's
yep.
been $279,000. And so is that a good return on our investment? Can we get those deductibles so they're at $10,000? And if you have 56 claims, you still have an insurance company that would argue, so maybe we would still get 14 zero claims. So you'd have 42 claims at $5,000, that's 210 grand that we'd have to pay more out of our pocket. But how much would that save us in premium?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like that we need to look at that from a dollar perspective when we're looking at our budget. Where can we save money? That may be one way area that we can save some money.
Yeah, and that's where you'll have
I don't
to
know.
decide
Yeah.
what your tolerance level is.
Exactly.
You know.
If we have a little more skin in the game and
Yeah.
we're, like, you yourself said 56 claims over 5 years, it's not
No,
bad.
and you should feel good about that.
Yeah. So that's the kind of information, that we want. I appreciate that, Kurt. That's
Keep in mind, ICAP's property rates at any company I've seen are really low. So when you look at where we have stuff in Nelson Park, spread all over the county, there's a lot of property. It takes a tornado to throw a wrench into this, but your risk is spread out. It's not like a farm place where all your buildings, all your equipment are right there. And if something comes through, you have this devastation.
because this is every county shed,
Yep.
Nelson's Park,
Amen.
Yellow Smoke,
Yep.
courthouse.
Yeah. And I think too, for me, when ICAP did this first report that we talked about last week, it had never been done. I didn't realize you guys had that many pieces of equipment, over 100,000. And you just have to be willing to do, if one, God forbid, fire or vandalism, like I used the two examples last week, the $400,000 machine, something happens to it, that you're okay with the stated amount. That's your choice. But if this was a good time to look at this and say it was on replacement cost, and you can have that, but to get it up there, you have to pay $11,400.
It would be nice to see what ICAP has of their highest deductible policy is.
That's what I've asked.
Catastrophic coverage, because I mean, I don't think we want to self-insure ourselves due to the fact of what you just said, a road grader, kid, it's not his fault, he's 20 years old, he's got 50 years of work ahead of him, and he was going to be a lawyer, and how that's argued. And what that would cost the county. And I don't think we want to avoid, I don't think we want to take that risk on.
Well, you point out that 375,000 or 379 last year, 357 the year before. It would take one big motor grader,
right?
To eat up that premium
Double
right
it.
there. Yeah, right.
Double
So
it.
that's my job, to show you both sides.
I mean, just for instance, I know my daughter-in-law that is an attorney, and she's suing an insurance company, which if they weren't insured, it would be the county. But in school, at shop class, the girl cut her finger off and suing the school. And of course, they're insured, so it's the insurance company. But that's what they're doing, is they're taking at what she wanted to do, and if she can't do it, here's how much we're suing for. Substantial amount. Substantial amount.
Sure, if I may, regarding just the replacement cost on the machine repair, but is there a different way of ensuring that? Like I said, we got a valuation on this equipment, so much per unit, and the odds of having multiple units involved in some sort of disaster fire limited. And forgive me for articulating this maybe quite the way I want to, but is there a way of ensuring it as up to a certain amount of coverage? These are the pieces that might be involved in that coverage, but up to a certain amount of coverage, regardless of what piece happen to be involved in. Is there a different way of ensuring it
There
rather than
is.
by the piece?
And that's a good question. So replacement cost, where I sit, is the one I want to sell the most, okay? But it doesn't mean that it's always the right way, especially when we're talking about these bigger pieces of equipment, the motor graders that don't have the exposure. So replacement costs, you have a stated amount. You get to say, ICAP came out and said, this machine that you have at 300,000 to replace it will be 450. You can say, I don't want it on replacement cost. I want it at 350 or 300.
But it does have to be by the piece of equipment, each individual piece of equipment.
Yep.
It's gotta be paid on,
Yep.
not just so much.
You're like thinking, man, we're just gonna top it at $100,000 per piece of equipment,
$2 million.
no matter what it's worth.
So I talked about that, this anniversary supplement that we're gonna go out and every department's gonna look at what stuff is valued at. And that's the report they did.
Yeah, I've got a copy of that.
So it's a good time to dial down, say, we're okay with this, one we're not okay with, it's.
So we just.
Does that answer your question?
Like on
Not
motor grader.
necessarily. My question is, like I said, I guess I didn't get the total of, how many dollars worth of equipment that is, once they're over 100,000 there. But I'm saying, chances are, an event where we sustain more than, say, $3 million worth of damage to the equipment, would be fairly rare. Is there a way of insuring up to, say, $5 million worth of coverage on overall of all the equipment listed, and having listed what equipment would be encompassed in that, but only having, like, say there's $20 million worth of equipment, that's just a wrong figure out there, I don't know. I mean, like I said, the chances of all that insuring for $20 million worth of coverage, basically. Chances are, we're never gonna have all this equipment, involved in an incident. Maybe at most of 5 million or 4 million.
Well, they're each insured at the rate that they are,
The individual rate.
individual rate.
Individual rate, yeah.
ICAP takes into consideration, and we talked about spreading the risk, they're not all in one place. And the likelihood of what you're saying, I don't think would ever happen outside of it's a holiday and they're all down at the shop and a tornado comes through. That'd be probably the only loss or cause of loss that I can think of that a bunch of those. So you're being rated, your premium is associated with them knowing you're probably, well, in 5 years, there's never been a loss on the equipment. So it's a low amount that they're charging each one, knowing that you're not gonna lose them. Very unlikely if you have 2 or 3 at one time. So the premium associated to
Taking that
that, they look at all
into
those factors.
Yeah, okay.
Does that help?
That makes more sense, yeah.
Even like my equipment, I gotta always evaluate each piece every year. That's what they insure that on. And when you can get full replacement costs. But if I've got a 2007 trailer that gets wrecked, I'd probably go out and buy a 2008 until it's in its cycle to replace it, do it again. You see what I mean? So that cost that I get back on insurance. So that's kind of how I think you gotta look at it. The used motor grader surely is out there to replace one if it got damaged where it's total. Then it gets up to its spot in the replacement side.
Yeah, so for the most part, it's gotta be individually valued, but the premium, they take into the fact that chances are, multiple pieces being damaged in one instance, they take that into account when they set the premium.
This is a board
So,
billing
lower premium, because
This is
rarity of taking out everything.
You and the sheriff's department are always gonna be the higher risk in the county if you're out on the road there.
Yeah.
And the thing is we're low, we say 56 in 5 years now, but think about our winters in the last 5 years. Our winter exposure, which is probably when you have the most kids across the center line or something like that. That's why we're low now, but we could have 5 winters in a row with a lot of damn snow, and you guys are out there almost every other day. And having more chance for accidents, and obviously probably having more.
Yeah, more our machines out on the roads, same, sharing the same roads as the public, and while we're trying to perform a job on the pavements or on the gravel, so more exposure we have out there with our equipment, the more chance you're gonna have that accident happen.
So that,
Yes.
what you're describing there, still want to destroy a machine.
Yeah.
No.
You're right.
And that's what I said the other day, those things, so.
I mean, it could cause serious,
$20,000, but it could have
that
a
would be more of a
human casualty.
human problem, yeah. So what you're saying maybe is we need to really evaluate our deductibles more than anything if we want to save money.
Let's look at both, but what's frustrating on the insurance agent side of it, companies since 2020 have said to public, on your homeowners, that you should have a bigger deductible, not you should have. They're giving.
Some of them mandated it.
Yeah, mandated, right?
Right.
So then, when some people say, okay, I'll self-insure, how about 10,000? Then you quote 10,000 and they show you that much premium. So I'm not here to promise you that when you quote it, it's going to be, but it might surprise both of us, and maybe in the marine makes more sense to have a 25,000, but the autos, certainly I think the sheriff's 200, 300 these days. Let's at least get those up, but
See what those
not my
numbers look
decision
like.
for sure.
I mean, since it sounds like we're kind of stuck with we can't cancel the policy and get a refund and start something new until next
Yeah.
July 1. So, I mean, let's just, Kurt and I will just stay in communication, and then when he has something to bring before the board, we'll have him come back.
Let's
Can
do
we
it.
take them great holes off there though?
What's that?
We take those trade dogs off there. I don't see
Take them
no
off
sense
county
paying
property.
insurance on it.
But I think the property too is worth looking at.
Yeah,
higher deductible, because you look at these losses, and this does tell 5-year history, they haven't had that down. You know, you're over back when the tornado came through. and maybe
I mean,
per
those
bill.
things are
So I'm
just-
not here to talk
I'm not even
about
worried
Right.
about
Right. Understood.
it, but you're doing the right thing, and I want to
Okay.
help you, so.
You and I will be talking.
I don't see no use
All right.
in paying.
Thank you, Kurt, for your information. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Oh,
you being here.
Options the way,
What's
we'll
that?
have options the way.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a good day. Thanks.
Taya?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Thanks for being patient.
Morning.
Part of it?
Good
That
morning.
one right there.
Michelle, how's it going?
Good.
That's covered.
This is Michelle Anderson, our CNO at the hospital.
Hi, Michelle.
I
Welcome.
don't join her very often, but
Hi.
I do. She told me very often, I didn't.
You just
We
come on
need
up.
Who is
more-
Michelle?
more chairs on
So
the
Michelle's at
roller.
the hospital. She's our chief nursing officer, so she oversees all the clinical areas, including the recovery center, the mental health, all that stuff.
And I'm in charge of the grants. So any grants that we've been applying for, fast and furious, that's falls under me too. So
All right.
She'll be the one doing all the reporting. Did you by chance get my email? Just a little synopsis. I know last time I was here, we went over the state grant a little bit on what we were attempting to do to try and increase services for Crawford County. And we did get notification roughly 2 weeks ago that we did receive that grant from the state from their opioid funding that they were sending out. They sent out, looks like there were 10 facilities in the state of Iowa awarded grants. We're the only ones in this area that I noticed. So very
Wow.
exciting.
Good job. Thank you.
So it was a very,
2.5 week
I
turnaround.
would say,
So
very short process.
if you didn't have something already in the works, you would have never been able to pull it off. So
It was quite the eventful few weeks. So anyway, what that leads to is a couple things that we were able to be awarded with. And the one big piece that involves Crawford County is, Gene, and you guys have brought up multiple times, the lack of services over here in Crawford County. And having services here is still a barrier. But transportation was one of the biggest things that we brought up over and over that I've talked with you guys about that we see. And in that grant, we were awarded funds to be able to provide transportation.
Wow.
So, yes.
So what does that mean? How do you do that?
So there's a couple things to get, but we will be hiring some staff to be able to provide transportation from Denison to Manning. And we'd also like to be able to put one of our counselors here in Denison, maybe 2 days a week. We're still working on the things, but roughly 2 days a week to try and get somebody up here. They won't be able to do groups, but they could do that initial intake. The evaluation is what our goal is. Obviously, nothing is set in stone, but our goal is to be able to offer that evaluation here in Denison with a counselor. And that person would also then coordinate services, coordinate mental health, behavioral health, substance abuse. What are they needing? And if that is outpatient, then we would have the transportation to pick them up here at Denison and take them because we've identified lack of funds, lack of driver's license, those types of things. So once they are in our services, we can offer the transportation without enticing somebody to services.
no, we can't
We can't entice and we can't advertise.
we cannot advertise transportation. So
Mhm. But if we can at least get them in the door to talk to one of our counselors that we'd be able to have here in town, then we can at least start that process.
Wow.
So,
That is.
you can't like pay people to come to your hospital. So that's just a lot, and it's unfortunate with transportation because everybody needs it. You can transport any patient that's established, but you cannot entice people to use your services because you offer transportation, which I don't understand either because there's such a lack of service.
Well, if
for
you were
people.
competing against another hospital.
For these
there,
services, it
I
would make more
can
sense,
understand it,
yeah,
but we aren't competing, we're
Yeah.
trying to service the
Mhm.
people.
right,
Mhm.
yeah, no, it's a pretty blanket.
Location.
Crawford County has the buses.
That's the next
that they
question.
take.
So one of our
So could
always
you-
in our battles
could
is
they
the funding
possibly
for a
take
location.
that- Cause they take them all over. Could they possibly?
We did look into that, we met with their group with the community health needs, it's probably been maybe a year or two ago. And they won't bring them to us and it's after hours, so their
Okay.
groups are after their like normal, they just do normal business
Sure,
hours
yeah.
where we will do the
Yeah.
group times in the evening.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
And that seems to be one of our biggest barriers is the evening time. finding
Yeah.
cabs and taxis or
Yeah.
Region 12, those things, evening hours. So we will offer evening hour transportation services.
How much of that makeup will it look like, whether it's in-house transportation or Region 12 or whoever?
It's gonna be all in-house is the goal.
All in-house.
We
Yeah.
will, the intent with this grant is we will be able to hire somebody to do it.
Wow.
So we will be able to, and we have lots of areas that can be filled on a night. If there isn't transportation, we have other areas that can be filled, so we'll be able to utilize ideally a full-time position.
You know, one
to make
entity
this
you might
happen.
want to talk to about transportation would be Wesco.
We have met with Wesco.
Through the, with Dawn from the city of Manning, and we met. The problem with all of them is you have to, set the time like a day, 24 to 48 hours in advance. And so then that causes an issue because you can't, and they don't like to do evenings, they like to do business hour transports.
Okay.
Everybody just wants to do business hour transports is really what our biggest barrier is.
When I know Region 12, they had to change their system too, where if they plug in a pickup date, it might not be somebody from Carroll, it might come from
Right.
Fort Dodge.
Right,
Because of
The
the.
problem with
Yeah,
the
so
Makes no
new
sense,
system.
but yeah,
the
that's
goal with hiring our own
great.
person now with this grant is we can avoid all of those issues.
Right.
Now, the location in Denison is still always our battle. I know that we have talked about the public health building before, and I went and looked at it after 2 meetings ago here, and offering a group setting there or a full-time counselor isn't feasible because there's just one room. But we could potentially make that feasible for one counselor to be up here to do evaluations if there is a way we can make it so that people would walk in on them. So that's kind of where we're coming back here again, is there a way to make it so that we use that space with this person, with this counselor 2 days a week or whatever we establish. That meeting room downstairs seems to be the only area that's not occupied in that building unless I missed something.
They have
It
what?
is.
Is that kind of a restroom
Jean's
too?
committee, so she's gonna have your answer.
Yeah, well, they do have that space that's kind of the hospice, sort of room, and I don't think it's used full-time and a lot,
I think, I need large groups meet in
for
that
the
space.
one-on-one meeting possibly, or
Like
private.
HHS, they have.
Yeah.
But
And it would be something scheduled. We'd be able to do a schedule.
I'd have to talk to.
And I didn't know if they had an office space upstairs, we could potentially share with somebody. I didn't go looking upstairs. I only looked in the basement.
Yep.
I wasn't gonna go snoop
Well, now
around
that we
somebody
have
else's
the grant,
space. Yeah,
I could go talk to Kim.
to see if there's a
Just
potential.
kind of feel how
Mhm.
that space is being used, and
Is that still owning the annex building? Is it something that we can have someone use
we still own that.
upstairs?
There's still chairs, there's still, yes.
That'd be private.
That'd
They'd
be
be the
private,
only ones
there's
there.
What
nobody
building
there.
is that?
Where public
Our
health
old
used to be.
public
Our
health
old
building,
public health building,
Right
right across
from
the
the
street from
city's
the
office.
post office.
right next to City Hall.
Tams,
I probably knew exactly
Okay.
where, but I'd have to go read something.
Yeah,
I'd
right
have to
next
go
to
look
City
at it with
Hall.
somebody.
Yes. The only thing between that and City Hall is the CDC.
Yep, right there across from the post.
Totally
office.
empty.
Totally empty.
that's our goal will
We
be,
have an
I mean,
elevator.
we're gonna start with 2 days a week, but obviously the goal would be that we would have somebody in there
Water
5
in
days a week. I mean, that's our goal to be
Yeah.
able to meet the need of
Pending
the
sale.
patients here, so.
right?
Kim's using all them rooms upstairs?
Well,
I think so.
not every single, not
Not
8
every
hours a
day,
day.
yeah.
And there are a few spaces, and I really just have to talk to her to see how, now that
How
they're
that should
actually
be
in
coordinated.
there. But the one that kind of jumps out at me is where right when you walk in, they call it the hospice meeting room.
Oh, right,
Right there,
yeah,
yep,
okay.
and it's just got a table and 2 chairs, and,
Right.
I don't work there, so I don't know, but I think coordinating and talking to people about the need, things kind of open up. If it could be a space that they're just using for storage,
Right, especially if you have set days, maybe you're gonna use
Yeah.
it,
We
or,
could definitely
you
create a
know what I
schedule,
mean?
and
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know
sure
if that
easy
would
enough
help.
to work with who's ever there.
temporarily we do until we sell this building, the offices and.
Is there anything on that front for selling it? Is it kind of?
Well, I always hear 2 people are looking at it, but I haven't seen anybody come forward with money.
no contracts.
There's quite a bit of room in the annex.
Yeah.
For way more than one office space.
Yeah.
It's cut up. in the
Now that we
basement.
have, until we had funds, until we knew
Mhm.
that it was feasible, we were all just talking, but
Yep.
now we can get down into the weeds a little bit and figure out now we know. So,
One thing that would make me nervous about the whole other building is putting one of my staff members in a building by themselves. There's always that safety risk with
Gotcha.
certain
Okay, I didn't
population.
even think about that.
So I would throw that out there. Whereas when we were looking at the public health building, because the last time we looked at a building up here, we had to budget 2 staff, so I never had a staff member by themselves. Especially if I get a male-female dynamic going on, I would want any sort of
You can check on that hospice room.
risk
then.
or liability
Right.
there.
Gene, you can check on the hospice room, see how often they use
yes,
it.
yes,
Is
yes.
there anything
Get back with
downstairs?
Sam.
What's just that big room?
No,
big
in
conference room.
the LEC.
Oh, LEC. Yeah, there's office spaces, there's a restroom, and it's got an entrance from the back alley, it's all an entrance.
Sorry, down at the sheriff's department.
Or
Are
what do you use?
you talking about the sheriff's?
Oh, no, I was.
I brought
He,
it.
he was
Oh.
talking about LEC,
Oh, I'm
and I
sorry,
think you
Irving.
were still over at the.
I hadn't moved with it yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking
I'm
this
moving
building,
across the
What
street.
this
about-
building
What
downstairs.
about
What
Jake's
do you
old
think
room
is over
We
there?
can get real creative here.
Jake used to.
Um,
How
I
big a
will
spot
more
do you
about the
need
sheriff's
if it's
office as
just-
well. My
Right.
clientele don't
The
wanna go
janitor
around the
has that
sheriff's
space
department.
occupied.
Yeah, most of the
So you gotta
clientele wouldn't
Yeah.
go to the
They
sheriff's.
don't handle it when sheriffs come in, our- which they do come around a lot, but I do have clients that
Yeah, I don't
that
think
would might
that's-
deter them for
When you
treatment.
pull up to the
I don't
police
know what's in
department,
there.
say.
Yeah,
get
they're not
out.
gonna, a lot of them are not gonna come in for help,
A
so
lot of them have outside.
I feel the
That's-
same way.
something I just
I'm
wanted to
having trouble
bring up.
keeping up, Mr. Chair. We got a lot of conversation.
Sorry.
Yep, sorry.
So our funding aspect, we are gonna hire somebody for transportation. We are bringing somebody in that we'd like to put up here 2 days a week if we're able to get help with the location.
I think we
And
can help.
somewhere
help,
on that to
yeah.
work together to be able to accommodate this, and that's at least our starting point. And if it expands, it expands, but at least if we can start there, we would absolutely create a schedule, work with whoever else we're working with.
And we would plan, we said scheduled, we said scheduled, but we would plan to have them like anything else. If the service isn't sitting there and it's sporadic, people don't use it. So, you know, we would plan to have somebody there, and we say scheduled, they would be there those timeframes where they have people coming or not. Because then we would advertise that we have the service in Denison so that people know, I don't know, I can go every Monday and Wednesday from this time to this time. You know, we'll move towards appointments, but if someone just wants to call, wants to walk in.
We want people to
And
be
then
able to
word
walk
gets
in.
around and.
Right,
it's gotta
because we
start.
can't advertise that part, we just can't advertise the transportation till after the event.
And we will also be working with the Board of Health here in the county. I emailed Cheryl Lair yesterday to get on their agenda, for reporting to them as well. I'm not sure which supervisor gets to join that meeting, Gene, so I will see you there as well. But I emailed Cheryl yesterday to start working to be able to report to the Board of Health at least every other month as well and help spread it that
Oh
way.
my God. What went through my mind just a minute ago is you've got that transportation person, could they be that second person? That would just maybe sit out in the lobby or be there?
Not necessarily, because that transportation needs to work in the evenings when,
Okay,
so if I'd have them there all day long and in the evenings, it will decrease the amount of days that we can offer
Okay.
transportation.
just trying to think how we could
Yes,
double up
yes.
with that you drop them off and also come in and sit out in the lobby
Yep,
for. any
yep.
How soon
backup.
do you need to know by?
We are ready to get this up and running as soon as we can. We are gonna start advertising for people to hire within the next week, hopefully. We are waiting for final budget approval from the state.
Yeah, I talked with our representative from HHS last week, but as soon as they finalize the budget, then we have to move fast to be able to use the funds. So we only have until January to use all the funds. So if we don't start using the funds for people's wages, then we won't be able to, you know, realize that money. So
Sooner the better. I mean,
So we
because
do
it's gonna
wanna
start
go-
off a little slow, you know,
Yep.
it's gonna
Yep.
take time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not like it's, but the space to me is you just gotta figure out where that's gonna be.
yeah, I think that's gonna be the biggest piece here.
You've gotta be able to help you with that. So,
If that's the part that we can get help with, I think we can get everything else in motion.
So you're gonna check out public health building.
I am, but I can't do it today or tomorrow
Okay.
because we have budgets until.
You got Taya's in.
Jean's got my
I
email.
do. I don't have,
Alright.
I don't have a speed dial yet, but it might be.
The rate we're going, we might get there, but yes.
Ideally,
Okay.
you'd like to be over there if you could.
Yeah.
You guys, that's.
Probably just for safety risk, I wouldn't want any liability, safety concerns. I don't have any of my staff ever work on their own. So there's always at
That
least
makes perfect sense.
2 people in our building and
That's all
something
those
or other.
things that I don't think about until I bring it out
And
loud.
we rarely have an issue. We don't really have issues. It's pretty few and far between, but that one instance that does happen, you want a second person there. So
The second person maybe,
call it, yeah, it is very few and far between. We are lucky there, but
I'll see what
Other
I
thing
can
I
do.
emailed
Right.
you is the last time we met, you had asked for the grant application from Carroll County, so I did include that in the email. There was an update recently after I sent it to you. They did change the wording because in one of the things it says nonprofit entities only to apply. They did change that wording just last week and opened it up to anybody in Carroll County, not just nonprofits. So that wording was changed after I sent you guys that application. And theirs is run through their public health person, Maggie Polly, oversees that board of people to help with the supervisors, take a little bit of load off the supervisors. Any other questions I can answer?
Anything else?
I did want to just bring up that when we're talking about having a second person in the space, like maybe this can temporarily work if we need to move to a different space. If we also applied for the Healthy Hometown grants, I don't know if you've heard about that, through the state of Iowa. So we applied for the Centers of Excellence for the Recovery Center. If we get those funds, what we applied for was to just build off what we're doing with the opioid funds. And that would include hiring another person. And then maybe that other person could be that second person. So even if you guys think, well, this will work for a year, but maybe if public health needs it, we need to move this, I think that might be an option. I don't know, they were supposed to release it last week, but they haven't.
I do have an insurance question. Say we do find a space over there in the new public health building, you guys use it, we say, here's your space. If one of those few and far between incidents happen, do we need to have insurance? If somebody gets hurt or hurts somebody else, or do you carry that?
I'll bring that. We need to. I will bring that
Right, that's-
to
I
Amy.
just wanna be clear up front.
The subject real,
Yep.
we just got with our insurance
Absolutely.
guy.
Maybe we need, we
I'll
probably
bring that
need
to
to have
Amy.
Colin write some type of agreement that you're responsible for this.
Okay, I will get that to
Memorandum of
Amy
understanding
when I get back
possibly.
and have her look at it. I know we did look at it when we looked at bringing. And it was an option. I just don't know how that all looks anymore because it's been a few years. But we did look into it a couple years ago when we were looking at the building here.
I just hate to not have an agreement or
Yes.
something spelled
Yep,
out and then something
absolutely.
happens and
Yep.
county gets sued, you get
Way to
sued.
bring it up, Dave. Good
There
point.
we go.
Yep, we are constantly looking at the liabilities.
Good job, good job.
The last thing I wanted to talk about is,
Disbursement, right?
yes.
Yes.
So disbursement of the 50% that we initially agreed on, it's been a few years now, crazy, a couple years now. We did not do that at the end of last fiscal year. I didn't even think about coming back up here.
The last one we did, what did I say, September of 24. Our current fund balance in the opioid fund is just over 80,000. So would you like us to disperse 40 of that currently?
That's what we
And
agreed.
then, yeah, I
Yes.
mean, help me remember at the end of the year.
I
Cause I'm
set a reminder
hopeful-
this time.
Cause I don't think we've
I'm up here
gotten
so
it
much,
all.
I just didn't mention it.
So are we actually behind in a year, so we owe you from last year and we're gonna owe
Fiscal
them again?
year.
There's only so many funds, so,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go over the fund.
No,
balance.
but
So, I mean, if you wanna do more than the beginning balance for this fiscal year, which would have been the ending balance of 25, was 55,000. We can do half of that, we can do half of what we've accumulated, which is 25.
Do we look at accumulating any
But
more,
that's still
and do we have any of it earmarked
So-
for something else?
It evens out.
It's not
Say again.
static every year that the amount we get, it's very.
Right.
and it's not
varies.
earmarked for
But I mean,
anything else.
It's not earmarked for anything
Not at
else,
this time, but it's,
so
And they're the primary applicant
Right.
at this
I
point.
think we should just do half of the 80 myself.
I do too, and then, we may need to do some finagling here for the space and things, and so that money from our
Yeah.
side. could,
Yep.
And we could use that if we had to remodel a space or do something.
There's a whole lot of different things that come up that could be used for now that would work through the biggest hurdle of getting somebody here in Crawford County to help with the need that we know we have. Yes. So, all right, yeah, I say half of the 80 to.
Since it's already
Send me
approved,
a
we
thing
don't have it on the
for
agenda.
asking for
or-
discussion.
Yep.
It's already
Sign it.
Fiscal year 26,
Shoot us a
whatever.
Right, we approved our agreement of
We already
50%.
approved it, so.
Yeah.
So you can just send the check.
Well, she
Right.
will request it.
I'll
and we
request
will
it,
send-
yep.
Cause we
Okay.
require invoice, so that
That
will
way
be
Terry
as
and I
good as
have
an
our
invoice.
email chain.
Okay.
Paper trail, paper
Yep.
trail.
It'll work out.
So yeah, I'll send that as soon as I get
Don't
back.
wanna just send
Wonder what it's
40,000
like to
to my
buy
good friend.
groceries at
Yeah.
Mary's.
You know?
The address.
Yeah,
Terry and I
exactly,
gotta do
no.
some shopping.
Not doing that.
Thank you, Tab.
Thank Thank you
Okay,
guys
Michelle,
very
thanks
much.
for coming.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks guys
Best
very
news
much.
I've had
Yeah, it
yet
was,
this
Yeah.
year.
we keep trying, we keep talking about it, looking at it, and it's just,
Well, a lot of times good news doesn't come before us, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be
It's struggling.
following my
Usually we just
coaching to
fix
see
it
where we're
right.
at, and I am hoping to start advertising, but I do have some counselors ready to jump in.
Oh, boy,
So
Yeah.
we've got counselors
Pressure's
ready
on.
to jump in.
pressure's
so-
on.
Good.
yeah, we're gonna try to use
All
our
right.
current staff to start it, you know,
Get it
and
going.
Well, then we'll find a place.
They're very
We'll find
excited.
a
Once I
We'll
get
find
a
a place.
minute, what I will
Okay,
do
check
is
626.
run over to that
How much?
space and maybe video it for
Catch
you,
that?
send
How
it
much
to
that
you,
big room
or
gets
you can
used?
possibly get on the
Checks next
website,
Tuesday, so
our
get it in
real
before.
estate, because our building is listed, so you'll be able to see the interior of it a little bit.
That's the plan.
Anytime, and you know, it takes me 20 minutes to get to Denison, Gene, so I can always meet you up here too. It doesn't take me
All right.
long to get here.
All right, we're on. to
Thank
something
you,
else.
guys.
How much of that big room in the ba- downstairs you gotta use?
Well,
They
you know,
cracked
there's
me up
more
the
than
other
you
day
think,
with
the
the
dental, you know, we get this big
Which
dental.
kills me, I'm terrified of horses, but he loves that your guys' out there and riding.
VHS comes over, I think all of their advocates speak there.
I listen, but I don't understand most of it.
I was down
It
there
is definitely his highlight
the
of
other day,
day over
and
horses.
they
Well, Chris and I have fun with
was having
Andrew,
a
makes
meeting
sure they're
of
together.
department heads,
Just
you
listening
know,
to them back and forth, it's funny.
Not saying
Well,
we
I
can
really
really,
appreciate it,
because
because
I'm
I've
thinking
never
of some
horse that shot.
spaces.
He can come over anytime.
Thank you,
There's not
ladies.
much going on
Good day,
there,
guys.
you know, that went right. I
Hey.
get
Thanks for staying on this.
thanks to that.
Well, I mean, but you don't ever quit.
So we'll move on to the high-level risk management action plan agreement.
This was the one with IMWCA.
Sure, all we had to do was approve to get going on it.
Yeah, we just need a motion to approve. The plan was in our packet, right?
Some of,
Motion
Second.
by
Second,
Dave, second by Gene. Any further discussion? Now we'll have roll calls. In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries. Employee wage publication for 2025. I mean, this is an annual thing that we do.
Yeah, it's W-2 wages.
We just need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to post the employee wage publication for 2025.
Motion by Ty,
I'll second that.
second by Gene. Any further discussion? Well, roll calls. In favor, say aye.
I,
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Set time, date, location, public hearing, sale of real property to the state of Iowa.
That on the bridge.
That's what I assumed,
Yes,
but
it
I
is on
wasn't.
the bridge.
That's that little bit that we're shaving off.
Real
They
little
gotta
bit.
raise the height of the bridge.
I think I've got,
which has to be done for the project.
What date and time do we need to have be within for public hearing?
February 10th would be a great date.
February
There's plenty of time to get it in the paper.
Okay,
We can meet the 10 and 20 stipulations of
Okay.
that.
I would make the motion that we set the time and date for
February 10th,
Whenever
10
you want
a.m.
to do it.
February 10th.
The 10th is the most important.
10 a.m.
February 10th at 10 a.m.
That's what we always do.
Yeah, that's what I thought. February 10th, 10 a.m. location right here for the public hearing for the sale of real estate on the bridge there on 30th Railroad across.
The motion was second by Kyle. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries. Move on to alcohol license renewal for Stables at Copper Ridge.
Time.
she needs a break.
Time.
Momento. All right.
Seasol business.
Let's see how many acres.
It wasn't hardly an acre, was it?
No,
Yes, I didn't think it was hardly an acre, Kyle.
we want a temporary easement as well. Contractor access.
It's really just a little skip of ground.
Yeah, yeah.
No, let me get caught up. Give me
Yeah.
2 seconds. Well, a minute maybe.
You probably want this to be easier.
But y'all can look at it. Sorry, I had to put the brakes on.
All right, it's a chance to do.
It's just gonna make a mess. It says it must be signed and returned by the 19th.
No,
No,
said last.
he was just here last.
Just double check.
Didn't know that we had the holidays.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not an acre large.
I don't think it's whole
Yeah,
acre.
it's gotta go out.
I think about a half.
It's about a half. It's just.
It just seems really small.
It goes in my folder, Kyle. He's walking away with it. Yeah. I don't know where you got.
Idle hands are the devil's workshop, so Kyle stays busy.
There you go. Is that what it is? What do you do with my mouth?
I took it in there and just, so I'm gonna put it in your folder. Oh, your folder's right.
Right here?
Oh, we'll get
Yeah,
it.
it's all right. I'll get it. I'll catch up with it. You're fine.
Idle hands, there they go. Busy.
You caught up?
Terry,
Oh, man.
must be quiet.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you
I see
so much.
Cindy and Karen are
Appreciate
both
that.
on. Must be quiet down at Steve's.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Move on to alcohol license renewal for Stables at Copper Ridge.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? Roll call, in favor say aye. Chair votes aye, motion carries. Move on to appointment of Scott Bruce to zoning commission. For term ending 12/31/2030.
I'll make that motion to appoint him.
Motion by Jean,
Second.
second by Kyle. Any further discussion? Some people, that's all we know as.
That's right.
Roll call, in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Move on to Sarah. Quarterly report from recorder.
Morning, Sarah.
Hello. Business as usual. Recorder's office, county fees were up just a little bit compared to the last quarter. But the overall grand total, so what we paid out to the state was a little bit less, so that could just be like sales tax or transfer tax was less, so we just didn't have to send so much to the state. Our documents were up, so that's always good. For DNR, deer season's pretty much over. We usually sell more landowner tenant tags than statewide tags, but I don't have those numbers yet from the DNR. Recreational vehicles were due December 31st. $5 late fee started January 1st. There's no 30-day grace period. It doesn't go by your birthday. A lot of people think that, so then they come in because they think they have 30 days. December 31st, every year those are due the day after late fee starts. In calendar year 25, we registered or renewed almost 1,300 vehicles. You can renew in any county, but you must initially register in the county that you live in, which is great. People that maybe live in a different county but work in Crawford, they come to us, or vice versa, I guess. But passports, Kayla processed about 156 applications, and we took over 200 photos this last quarter. For calendar year 25,
over 600 applications and over 900 photos were done.
Is there any other place in Crawford County that they can do that?
Photos they can do at Walmart, if they can find somebody that can take them. But no, just us. The Department of State started to mail us paper applications again. For a while there, they weren't, and people were having to go online. So this is great because it makes the process easier for the customers that they can just come back in and get the paper applications from us again. Processing times have been faster than the 4 to 6 weeks for routine, or 2 to 3 for expedite, but we continue to tell customers to plan accordingly if they have travel plans, because many countries require your passport to have at least 6 months left on it. So we've received many panicked phone calls from customers who have trips planned and their passports expired.
You say not expired, within 6 months of expiring.
Some
countries say
yes.
that's expired.
Yes. From the date of entry, when you enter their country, you have to have at least 6 months left on your passport.
Wow.
Not all of them, but some do.
Huh.
I would
Yeah,
have
so
never
keep that
thought
in mind.
I wonder how you find out what country, you know.
You can look on the US Department of State website and then
Okay.
it'll tell you which
Okay.
countries,
Okay.
yeah.
Not fun going.
Yeah, so,
Gonna be able to get back,
Mine's great now. I should have 9 years left on mine.
perfect, yeah, so if some
I
people
gotta
do
check mine.
cut it close, they have to make an appointment in Minneapolis and drive up there at the passport center.
Holy smokes.
But that's fun.
Yeah, especially now,
Yeah.
for same day service, so like it can be a big issue, but so check your passports. We take passports by appointment, but will accommodate walk-ins when we can. And adult renewals don't need appointments, so it just kind of depends, like kids or like a big family of 5, we require appointments. Vitals, we processed 14 marriage applications, which was down from last quarter, not surprising, it's not really what time of year, right? Who wants to get married
You
and
do it out after a wedding.
yeah,
The snow.
right, some do.
Bring your own shovel.
Yeah. Let's see, for calendar year 25, we did 83 total marriage applications. The state has been encouraging counties to be more vigilant when issuing vital records, since fraud is never ending. So if somebody comes in and wants to get their sister's birth certificate, you have to prove to me that you are her sister with paperwork. You can't just say it, so.
How long does it take to get a marriage license? And can you come in that day, get your marriage license?
No, you apply, there's a 3-day waiting period before it's valid.
Actually, you really want to do it?
I guess, yeah, I don't know, the state has that, then you can come back after the 3 days,
Okay.
pick it up and get married anytime.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, like up Sherry's, we gotta have, for our gold star, we've gotta have all the records to show that.
Yeah,
Shouldn't that, I mean, you said they're still thinking we gotta still bring our birth certificate for to get, shouldn't that gold star
Right.
license cover that?
that's what's really confusing and to me doesn't make sense. To, like, get your passport,
Yeah.
you have to provide all of that,
Again,
but you still have to do it to get the gold
So if you have a
star.
gold star, you should kind of,
I know.
so you wouldn't have to carry all that around.
No.
You know, and I just remember seeing something on Facebook where some of our immigrant population, or at least even the Hispanics that are been here forever, are worried about that. So they're carrying all that stuff with them. Well, there's
Yeah.
a chance you're gonna lose it. Just went up exponentially if you're carrying it around all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, and we got gold star licenses, we should be covered.
You would think,
Somebody needs to
I
address
agree.
that.
That
I
is
mean,
common
I'm not
sense
saying
then.
you.
no, I agree. I don't know if it just makes processing times easier, like at the airport with the gold star, I'm really not sure, but.
What's the difference? I mean, the gold stars, they have. to
gold
hurry with
star's
the
a gold
airport.
star.
Right, and then the passport allows you to travel internationally, so I guess
Ding, ding,
you
ding.
just have to provide everything.
Common sense has still got to play a role, but apparently not all.
Not-
Thank you.
Not with
Sorry.
the US Department of State. But, yeah, real estate, we had more documents than last quarter, calendar year 25, we recorded over 2,500 documents. Hoping we get more this year, but
So I just had a quick question on the hunting license. You can get a hunting license like at Walmart, but the amount that the county gets to keep versus like Walmart gets to keep, is that exactly the
it's
same?
yeah, it's called, they call it the agent fee. So like some like Bass Pro Shops sell them they get the same
Same,
feedback.
okay, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure we weren't treated less.
Yeah, no, it's the same.
'Cause I suspected that we were.
Good to know. Glad you did the same.
I never asked that question before.
Yeah.
What is that agent fee?
50 cents.
50 cents?
Wow.
50 cents. For a fishing license, 1-year fishing license is $22. The county gets 50 cents of it.
I was just having this discussion with somebody this last week.
Which honestly, it takes less than 5 minutes to print it out,
I understand that,
but
but they're fishing in our county.
Well,
usually,
there are people, there's a lot of people
It's a
out there
state
that think
license.
everything that we do here, we keep all that money. And I said, no, we do
no,
not.
right.
Well, so
That's
it
a
goes
big-
back to really, it costs property tax because you're paying that employee to issue that. And even though it only takes 5 minutes,
It's another unfunded mandate if you wanna really look.
you know, and
at
I
it.
get at Walmart, you're drawing people in the door to buy other things, you know.
Right.
It's different than here.
And actually, a lot of our customers just, something is messed up at Walmart or whatever, they just set them up here to just go to the courthouse, because they're not trained really properly. But, I mean, they try, they can still. But I'm pretty sure in Crawford County, it is Walmart and us. Edelman's used to sell them, I'm not sure if they do anymore, I don't think so.
Okay.
But-
But you guys, I mean, you keep the record on file, that's why I like about coming
Yeah,
back on
yeah.
this. Just the next time you come up, it's piece of cake.
Right, yep, so. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions?
No. we have-
Sarah, appreciate,
I
we
asked
appreciate the report, we really do.
Sarah,
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys.
see you tomorrow.
Sure, like
Yes.
our license, it's got all that little Iowa in the background. I mean, these are like really hard to duplicate, wouldn't they be?
I don't think so.
I mean, that would be my only concern with not being able to just use the gold star is maybe if people could afford the license.
Make a motion to accept.
I thought that's
the
Because we're all state
quarters,
systems,
quarterly
so I
report.
cannot
second
issue
that.
that without verifying.
Oh, we need to approve it? I'm sorry.
I didn't realize that.
Okay.
Thanks for tearing.
We have a motion by Jean, second
by
by,
him.
motion by
Second by
Kyle,
me.
second by Jean to approve the recorder's report.
Only because Terry's
On the ball.
Thank you.
on the
Any further
phone.
discussion?
That break I got, that made me sharper, you know.
I need a break.
Roll call, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Move on to Shirley and the semi-annual report.
Come on down, Sherry.
Should take 40 seconds.
Okey dokey. Collecting a lot of paper today. I am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Trying your best, it's all we can hope for.
I think we should
There we go.
dry.
So basically, like we discussed before, when a department head or one of their representatives come into my office, they tell me where to put the check or the cash they're giving me. So we go through and we do exactly what we were instructed. So on this report, what I am looking at is the bottom line to make sure that we balance, and there on the last page, you can see that we do. Just that easy. If it doesn't balance, then I have to go to the other departments and figure out why. But as far as where it goes and why it goes there, that's on the department head from each respective department.
But ultimately, it balances, so
We're good.
We're good.
All right, thank you.
Is that typical for that 6-month time frame to go up 7 or 9 million? I mean, it's right. Oh, no, maybe I'm reading it wrong. But our beginning balance was at roughly 8.6, but that's just general basic. That's each individual on the very front page.
Right.
I should be
Yes,
reading
fund
it
by fund.
as the bottom total, our beginning balance was 16,680,000. And our ending balance was 17 million, so it didn't jump like that. Thinking, I was just curious, that's usually what happens? Does that stays
I
pretty
guess-
steady over the 6 months?
I guess without going back and looking at the other one, I couldn't answer
Okay.
that
30 seconds or less.
30 seconds or less. But I could definitely find out for you if that's something you are interested in.
No, the only reason it's brought to my interest is I first saw the first number on the first page. I thought that was the beginning balance.
Oh, gotcha.
And then
The
the
8 million, that
ending,
we really
right,
sped it down.
exactly. And then the ending balance was 17, and I'm like, wow, we're up 9 million for the 6 months. Is that typical? But that's not the case.
No, that's not the case.
This is such a small amount, but why would it be a negative in the state of Banks levy, negative $61.12 when people are supposed to be bringing you money and you take it? Just,
Where are you at?
The state tuberculosis and bangs levy?
yeah.
So
It's just odd.
that is money when we do apportioning. It's such a small amount that goes in there and they're actually doing away with it. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
the only reason I can think.
Isn't
it
that
would
weird
be-
though?
Yeah.
That's how they're helping us out on relieving our property tax.
I was gonna say, it's just such a small amount, but
CV
you
and
know,
bang.
when everybody's job is to bring you a little money and then all of a sudden we see the state taking $61.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, it really doesn't make my radar except for it's only negative on the whole thing. It's the same. So, lots of numbers.
Yeah,
Lots of
it
numbers.
is a lot of numbers. And I see now to read it across. See each individual fund. Now I understand.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the treasurer's summary report, second by Ty. Further questions or discussion for Sherry?
Thank you for bringing it up.
None, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Do them to sign with it? Does that
Yeah.
work? Yeah, thank you.
So move on to,
No, I just had my working copy that I.
No, that's awesome.
citizens input. We don't have anybody here in person. Do we have anybody out in Zoom land that would like to address the board?
Do you have the assessor's number? We call Paul and ask him to come up.
Paul wants to come up.
Paul wants to come up.
Paul wants.
Paul wants to
I
come
don't
up.
have
Okay.
all on the speed dial.
Here's sirs.
And I know citizen, but Terry said he wanted to come up. Okay, thanks. Floor.
Sherry wants to go through her budget prior to her time.
We don't have space on it.
Oh, I don't have Paul's. I might have
I
to
think I
get
do,
that.
I just don't, I didn't take time to look, sorry. Dave, you called it.
Wait, not cabin. I thought you said capital.
Oh, cabin.
Say again? Yeah, be careful.
Paul, welcome.
Morning.
Morning.
What's going on?
It is.
Yes, yes. On Friday, Ryan Smith from Schneider Corporation came and visited with Terry and I. And made a proposal where Schneider Corp.
Oh, okay.
He was here a few weeks ago
Yeah.
and gave a presentation to the board.
The geospatial people.
Yes, geospatial, yes. Yes, and from the discussion that Terry and I had, it looks to me like it's something that we'd like to move forward with. However, the payment and making changes in there is what I guess we'll have to the board to talk about. So
Right.
I know that,
Will that replace the
Sidwell.
Sidwell there?
yes, correct.
Yes.
Yes, it would replace that. So the numbers that he gave, I believe, he provided to the board as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about.
Okay, but the concern that I have is as far as moving forward with the board, and what and or how the board would like to accommodate the payment of that structure. So that's what,
Because it's currently,
it's currently being paid for solely by the assessor. And I had a chance to talk to the conference board yet. This is something I was going to talk to the conference board about, but of course you folks are the first or a third of that. But due to the nature of the conversation, you're hearing it first. My thought on the process, I'm going to talk with, as I mentioned with Dave earlier today, I'm going to talk with city council because what I'm seeing from our expenses are concerned, pictometry and our GIS go hand in hand. Pictometry is aerial photography that occurs every 3 years. We pay for it though annually. It's split into a third of a payment annually. So how that's been paid for in the past is the assessor fund has accepted the responsibility. However, we farmed the costing out to four other entities to assist us. 911, zoning, DMU, yes, and City Denison, that's correct. My thought is that as I look at how taxes are paid on the assessor's fund, and to be fair to the individuals who are paying property taxes in the county, I feel it's better for the assessor to take the obligation of paying for pictometry solely. And I say that because think about the structure. The assessor levy it touches everybody, okay, equally. If we pull that back and we farm it out to other entities to help us out, for example, Denison and DMU, okay, those folks are going to be paying per se more individually in those living area specifically than what folks in other communities. Charter Oak,
Sure.
okay, and that 911 component, I believe that's a countywide levy
It's not a levy,
No, it's not.
or
it's a surcharge
surcharge.
on like
Every-
phones and
every
cell
phone
phones
pays.
and stuff,
Okay.
yeah.
And then the other is county zoning. So there, county zoning, the folks in the rural area, county zoning, are paying more than what, again, folks in
The cities.
yes. So, and looking at paying for the feature, I feel it's better that it's one number spread evenly across all property owners in the.
So that's
Just
that
be a
house
year
built
levy.
currently?
No, it's
No.
not. No, and through the assessor levy specifically. So in doing that, Terry had a conversation, it seems a better avenue to have the Beacon or the Schneider fees come out of either, help me out with that, Terry.
IT.
Come out of the IT line item and pull that away from being the responsibility of the assessor. If I'm going to be taking on the responsibility of paying for air photography on an annual basis. So I want to come and share that with the board. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Remind me the difference in the price from our Sidwell to this. Is it just a ballpark? It doesn't have to be the exact.
Unfortunately, I don't know the exact
Okay.
number,
Right.
Gene.
He's making
I
a
have-
proposal, he's preparing that, I
Okay.
think.
Yes, and Ryan is working on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we
Lodi
pulled
is
that when
working on
Ryan
it, wasn't
came.
Hopefully I would have that tomorrow.
Or you
I
talking
remember
about
that.
I think it is.
I wanna say it was like
There-
30,000.
There are setup fees in the Beacon
Okay,
because they're switching over.
sure.
A lot of it would be very,
One-time charge.
yeah,
Correct.
So we
one-time
will
charge.
switch in July, though.
Yeah, how does they
Probably.
overlap?
Well,
Well-
the switch,
Will we be paying?
maybe officially would happen in July. But as far as he mentioned, as far as paying
Right.
is concerned, not until the new fiscal year.
So it's not like we'll be doubling up
July
for
1st.
Sidwell and.
Well, technically, we're
We're
gonna
in a
have to.
contract.
Yes, because we're in a contract.
So we're gonna work
And
on,
there's one
I'm
more
trying to
year.
gather some info. Did you
I
find the
looked and I
contract?
have not had. anything
No,
yet.
okay. I know of another county that has a Sidwell contract, so I wanna see what the, Ryan mentioned that there is language to get out of a contract. Whether it's 30 or 90 days notice or whatever,
Right.
we'll figure that out, so,
And we don't want to be paying for both.
no, we
No.
don't.
That's
No.
kind
You're
of
right,
trying to
You're right.
carry that all up and
Yeah,
make sure
Right.
that we're
exactly,
covered
that's
with
exactly, no,
that.
I'm 100% behind
yeah.
that.
I think Beacon just offers more as far as usability for the public, for our offices that use it. you know, you saw how,
We did see.
how,
it.
what
It was pretty
good
impressive.
information
So
they
all in our
provide.
Ryan's budget then for the geospatial,
No,
geospatial will be all in Ryan's budget?
no, GIS.
GIS.
The GIS.
Geospatial would be
No, the
out of,
geospatial is your thing.
would be
Aerial, the
assessor.
assessor.
Yes.
And not farming it out to DMU and 911 and City of Denison,
Which makes sense. I mean, you tax
Right.
them all in different ways.
Right.
It's
So
still the same
will we be
amount.
billing them a fee for it or not?
Well, currently, I'm not really, I've received a bill from Pictometry. And I've not sent or a request out to these different agencies to receive their portion or to have them send their portion of that bill to Pictometry. I'm gonna have a conversation actually tonight. I've got a time with the city council asking them, because I'm not sure how the conference board's going to accept this. Do they want to have the assessor fund pay for, Pictometry in its entirety? I don't know. You can't speak, you can speak for yourselves,
1/3.
but you can't speak for the other 2/3.
You cannot.
All right. So with that thought in mind, I've got to make sure that the city, I've already heard from DMU, they're willing to go ahead and keep status quo as far as their contribution is concerned. I've not talked to the city yet about moving forward, if they're interested in doing that yet. So I'm trying to find that out. I'm going to find that out tonight.
Who does DMU contribute to now?
Pardon?
Who does DMU contribute to now? You say they're gonna keep up their contribution.
They currently they contribute $3,300 a year, and they pay Pictometry directly, I believe is how that works. Again, coming in on.
Right. But now they would pay the assessor's office.
No.
No,
No.
No, they wouldn't pay anything. If we switch, they
They
won't pay
wouldn't.
anything.
so why would we want that?
Because of the fairness in how people are taxed. is what you're
Well,
saying.
Because DMU is the city, is, the boundaries of the city of Denison, basically. So is the city of
Right,
Denison.
so
Those
they're-
are all the same people they're paying twice.
Actually, they're technically paying 3 times.
Actually, yeah, because of
When the city pays.
911.
If DMU uses this service, so shouldn't they be charged to use the service? I mean, what you're saying is if I'm a DMU customer, I can expect my bill to drop if the assessor's office pays.
That's up to the provider.
Exactly. So if it's not, then the customer is still getting charged twice then for the same thing. But
Just not
Awesome.
passing it on to us.
that's what I'm wondering if, I don't know.
Our bill just goes up.
But it's only $3,300 for a year. How much savings would that be for a customer?
Very little.
Exactly.
So it'd be very little if it was higher, it'd be very little, if they were paying twice.
That's true.
But I'm just saying, shouldn't we be charging if DMU uses the service, shouldn't they have to pay for that service?
Government entities, I'm not exactly sure. I have to have Ryan Smith, Ryan Poots. They're both of the representatives' names are Ryan.
Okay,
So Ryan Poots is the Pictometry
okay.
representative. And there's a built-in, this again, I'm going based on my information and knowledge from Boone County. There's a built-in either 50 or 100 users that are able to use the system, use the information, and there is no charge, there is no pass-through or a carrying charge to those users. If you go outside that base number, then there would be possibly a charge for that. So by virtue of that built-in base number of users, I don't know how with DMU, it's not allowing individuals within the utility to use the information. It's specific to the company itself that are using this information. So you as a company, you couldn't go in and use Pictometry, or nor could you as a citizen of Crawford County go in and use Pictometry as the assessor uses it. However, internally, we're all able to use that functionality. So I don't know how DMU would use it in their process. I have no idea. But as far as costing and charging, I guess that's something that the conference board could look at, as an avenue. But I come back to the idea that I'm looking at the behalf of the property owner. As a property owner, I would rather see myself, because it's being used by the entire county. And I don't feel it would be right as a property owner that I'm helping to subsidize other areas of the county that's not specific to myself specifically. So I look
I
at this.
understand the tax aspect of it and the fairest way to do it. I think you're absolutely right. The assessor's office is the best way to do that. I just think that if there's an entity that uses it for business purpose, they should be paying a big fee.
Because DMU is
Are they a business or are they utility?
They don't tax.
they don't tax, they get paid off of what
Service.
electricity.
Right.
See, so that's actually a reduction in taxes, them paying.
I presume that they're paying a utility.
Now,
tax.
if you're talking about the entities that pay their bills using taxes,
I don't know that answer.
then you could be talking about getting taxed twice.
I could see a little bit different too, if it was a Smithfield or an Anderson using it for private industry versus a utility.
Another good one.
Good discussion to have with the conference board.
Hammer it out.
Poses some interesting debates, yes.
See what the city says tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
How they,
But at the end of the day, it's still gonna cost the county X.
It's gonna cost the taxpayers of the county X.
Right.
However, we get it out.
But if like Dennison lowers their, that $3,300 a year, that's across the whole county or across their whole city. If that's their share of it, you know,
Yeah, like the city itself is currently contributing $10,000.
so if they do lower their tax asking 10,000, and they're still paying county taxes. So, yeah, I mean, I could see where you're going to a wash there. I mean, I can see that. But like DMU being its own entity, a business in a sense, but it's a utility. That's an excellent point. I mean, that's different. It ain't a tax, you know, and they're getting it. I mean, they probably, does DMU pay taxes?
That's
No, I don't- I haven't.
I don't know if that's, I've never asked that question.
They're a utility and
Yeah.
see, the utilities are centrally assessed.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. The state, the Department of Revenue sends Terry, but your utility values are X. And we have
Does
no
a
idea.
utility building, do we have an assessed value and they pay property tax? Do you know, does the utility pay property
Taxes on
tax?
real property like that.
It's
Or is it a reduced rate?
I gotta think how to word this. They pay property tax, yes, to answer your question.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that.
But it's a asset, there's a formula that's used, I don't know off the top of my head how it works, because I have never worked with that. And very rarely have I been asked the question, but I do know the utilities do pay, it's like your railroads pay property tax, you know. Now, the only difference I would say as far as utilities returns would be your wind turbines. Wind turbines, they are paid locally, and they're paid on a percentage of their acquisition costs, their construction costs. Those are phased in, and which I think Crawford County, everything has been phased in. We're currently at the 30% of net acquisition cost on all turbines. Now, with that, the legislature passed a law, legislation, whatever, a couple of years ago, where part of the substations, when those were initially constructed, wind turbines, the substations were also valued in the same manner. The wind turbine, the companies, they had the law passed, and a portion of that value was pulled off and became centrally assessed. And I had the question with Terry, recall back in the fall. So was there a plus or a minus there in that transition between local assessment and state assessed? And what I found was that it was about a wash, honestly, because in that particular, I forget now which township we looked at, but the state utility valuation and tax that was derived from that was about the same as what it was as being locally assessed. So I felt comforted in the fact that they didn't get some big tax cut, basically, which I'm not concerned about taxes, it's wicked values, assessments.
I still think 30% is too low on what they get taxed.
Yeah.
That's a
and
source
then they
subject
changed the
for
rule
most board
after
supervisors.
19 years.
Sure.
Then they
Changed it.
revamp them and they put out more outage and they get more profit off of them, but we're still.
Yeah.
And then they go back and do what we talked to, where if you reset it and
Right.
start all over to gain.
We would only get off of what output, they were, it's gonna be hard to judge how much that was, so we would technically probably get less. If we were getting with the 30%. We were all ready to make big changes, and that same year they made that.
Sounds like they had some pretty powerful lobbyists.
Pretty powerful, yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Mark said Friday, the way you get stuff done in Des Moines is you have lobbyists.
Yeah,
That's it, Washington and Des Moines.
ridiculous.
So,
yeah, because I sat down and asked.
I would be willing to
How do you
bet it
educate?
happens in the large
He
counties.
said, lobbyists.
Obviously, yeah.
So how much do you think this will increase your levy by running it all through the assessor's office for town? Just by, for the, and moving that other IT structure to IT?
That's a great question. I'm not trying to calculate that.
Okay.
And the other thing that I was thinking about is if $10,000 is an offset in somebody's budget, you know, to help fray the cost, you know, I would want to not
That's
do
another
that.
Ryan
you know.
involved there.
Yeah.
The IT budget goes up
Yeah, because
exponentially.
he doesn't have that 10,000 in his budget right now, or whatever it's gonna be. So his budget's gonna go up, and we're gonna miss the income basically that we had the other entities help with that expense. So we need to say we don't need that anymore, because I think it'd be nice to have $13,000 extra in the budget to help offset the costs. So
This is a banker. She's gonna watch her penny.
some things to think about. You know. And if I knew it was going to lower what the actual citizen paid, it would make a difference, but I don't think that they're gonna actually see that savings. You know, it's just gonna be money that the city has that we don't have. So
Okay.
That's when.
Right, because we don't have control over there.
I'll get a sharper pencil and figure out.
It'll be good discussion. Paul said we'll meet and come together.
Right.
That'll be a good discussion.
Then you'll have heard from the city, you know,
Yeah.
as far as.
And we should have Ryan's proposal,
Right, and that's the other thing, there's a lot of
which,
unknowns.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
But
IT
they're separate, but
Yeah.
together they work together.
And the other thing we talked about as far as Ryan Smith is concerned with Schneider, they have a very usable GIS component. And are able to use that, we would be able to use that, it would help, I believe, our organization dramatically.
Yes,
Well, that's good. That's kind of what we're after.
Yeah.
We like what we've seen there, Dave.
oh, yeah.
And it's more user-friendly for the public when they want to find that information, all that they can get without coming to the courthouse, and just
That's true.
things that you never knew you wanted to know, and now all of a sudden you just get on there like that. So,
I know.
we'll see how the numbers, I have to see the numbers.
Okay. I'll look up and see what we're currently paying, Sidwell. Get a better idea, be able to ask the question.
I think it's a great program. So.
Sounds good. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, oh, this paper.
Anything else from citizens input to come before the board? If not, we will take a break.
Sherry.
What's that?
sitting there,
Sherry?
the treasurer.
Yes.
You don't? Oh, but then, did you want to do your budget or?
I was just gonna ask if there was any way I could squeeze in really quick for my budget before you go for lunch. I didn't know if there was time.
Does anybody have a,
Can we do a quick 2-minute break?
yeah, I think
They must have coffee extra.
We can start without him. 2-minute break.
Start without two of us.
Yeah.
That's the chair.
I should have to take a break, but I've trained myself to not have to take a break. All right, taking a break. When there's a break, you better take it, because you never know when you're gonna get another one. Yes, that's the philosophy.
We're cutting into lunch.
Yeah, no kidding. You can have your break as soon as I'm done, darn it. So there was a big fire in Charter Oak yesterday?
The way it sounded, it was a wiring, the wires got heated up and started smoldering the blown in insulation.
So is he in the purple brick house or is he in one of the other ones?
I don't know for sure which one it is. They said it was on, first I heard it was